Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the 6th episode of the story in which Naruto almost dies at Final Valley, but fate still wants him to live. The Shinigami takes an interest in Naruto and makes him its first summoner. Watch Naruto as he shows the world what it's like to summon the Death God. This story comes from Kyubi-Goku. Make certain to support him, her. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. 1 week later, morning, the members of Team Heineken yawned as they got themselves up and situated. Today was the day that they would be moving their operations to Uzumaki, and thanks to their Hokage's consent, they were all packed up and ready to leave. Naruto placed a few scrolls in his backpack as he watched Kakashi and Yugao moving some things around. Sasuke was busy sealing some jutsu scrolls into the storage scrolls while Kushina was dealing with the weapons storage. Over the week, everyone had been busy buying new furniture and tools that they would need to help repair Uzumaki, and they would even make a stop at the Land of Waves to see if Naruto's old friend, Inari, would help them out with the repairs since their country was good with building things. "Is everyone ready?" Yugao asked to them all as she picked up her bags. Sasuke nodded and so did Naruto. Kakashi announced that he was ready and so was Kushina. "Alright everyone. It will take us about 3 days to reach Uzumaki, so let's make them count. I'll explain some things more after we get there," Kushina told them, and everyone seemed to be satisfied with what she said. The 5 members were all ready to go before they heard a knock on the door, making them cautious. "Hey, is someone supposed to know that we're here?" Naruto asked with a small gulp while Sasuke narrowed his eyes. "I didn't sense anyone following us." "Did anyone else?" he asked. Kushina, Yugao and Kakashi shook their heads before they all heard a voice behind the door. "Oh, come on. I know all 5 of you are in there, so let me in," the person said while Sasuke recognized the voice. He quickly went to the door and opened it as the others tensed. "Ka-san?" Sasuke asked, making the members of Heineken give expressions of confusion. "That's right, Sasuke. How are you?" she asked, and everyone noticed her attire. It was exactly like theirs in every aspect of the words. The Heineken robes, scarf and other things. Mikoto smiled at their confusion as she stepped inside with a small bag that Sasuke took inside. Everyone dropped their things and waited for an explanation from the Uchiha matriarch as Mikoto got herself comfortable. "I take it you are all surprised to see me?" she asked, and everyone nodded dumbly at her question, making Mikoto giggle slightly. "That's putting it mildly, Ka-san. How did you find us anyway, and where did you get those clothes, and not to mention the dash?" Mikoto raised her hand to stop Sasuke's question and sighed as she placed her hands on her lap. "Well, you all remember the incident with Danzo and how I made an unexpected entrance?" she asked, making everyone nodded, agreeing with her completely, which in turn made Mikoto sweat drop at them and their quick agreement to her question. "Anyway, Tsunade said that because of my interference I was to be punished," Mikoto said, making Sasuke widen his eyes. Naruto and Kakashi narrowed theirs while Kushina and Yugao wondered what kind of punishment Tsunade would even give Mikoto in the first place. "So what happened? And what do that have to do with you wearing our clothes?" Naruto asked, and Mikoto took out her Shinobi license. Everyone looked to see that she was a fully registered member of Heineken, and the brunette female smiled. "My punishment is to join your group and help you in all of your missions," she said, and everyone gave different reactions. Sasuke seemed rather confused, and so did Naruto. Kakashi and Yugao slightly understood it better, while Kushina seemed happy that she could have her best friend with them. "Really? Bachan said that?" Naruto asked her, and Mikoto nodded, keeping her smile in full bloom. "Do you even know Kenjutsu, Ka-san?" Sasuke asked, and immediately a sword was pointed at his neck, making it shimmer in the light. Mikoto gave her son a creepily calm smile and chuckled. "There are lots of things you don't know about me, Sasuke," she said, and the Uchiha mentally gulped before he pointed the weapon away from himself. "She's got you pegged, team," Naruto said, chuckling while Sasuke closed his eyes and looked away. "HN, he muttered, making the others chuckle at him before Kakashi got to his feet and rubbed the back of his head. "Ma, I think this is a good idea. Plus not much we can do since Hokage-sama requested it," Kakashi said, and Kushina could agree. At least the gender was balanced out now, so that was always a good thing to everyone. "I agree with Kakashi-senpai. Mikoto-san really could be a great ally to us. I vote we keep her," Yugao said to them, and everyone else agreed, not seeing any more reasons to argue. "Well, Ka-chan has the last say since she's the leader," Naruto said, and everyone immediately turned to Kushina, who got to her feet and rubbed the back of her head. "Well, I certainly don't have any problems with it since I've worked with Mikoto in the past." "Yeah, she can join," Kushina said, and Mikoto smiled. "Well then, mind telling me what we're going to be doing?" she asked, and everyone quickly told her about their plans. They talked about the steps they would be taking to better themselves and get some bases in order. They also told how they would need to get either some more weapons and armor for their group, to which Naruto said that he had the perfect place to go get some. "I see, well then we'd better get going," Mikoto said, and Sasuke pointed to her bag. "Is that why you have all that stuff in that bag?" he asked, and Mikoto nodded with a sure smile on her face. "That's right, Sasuke. So can we go now?" she asked, and everyone turned to each other. They all nodded, not seeing any more reasons to stay around, and so they all picked up their bags while Kushina opened the door. "Next stop Uzumaki," Naruto said with his fist in the air, making everyone chuckle at him, while Sasuke gave a sigh of annoyance. Hospital room. Sakura was currently working on medical treatment practice to a small fish as she placed her hands over the water. "Creature." She calmly breathed as she tried to revive the animal. As she did so, the pink-haired Kunoichi was brought back to the conversations she had with her former team, Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke. She was overjoyed to hear that Naruto had fulfilled his promise and returned Sasuke to the village, but to also hear that they would disband their team. She had always hoped that thing would return to normal, but it seemed that no one wanted it that way. Now that Sakura thought about it, she never did want any of the others wanted. It was always about her. She wanted them to bring Sasuke back. She wanted them to be a team. She wanted them to stay like they always did. Was I too inconsiderate? Sakura wondered as she stopped concentrating on the fish on front of her. She sighed and thought back to Kakashi. The Jonin said that this would be something good for him and he was taking it. Sasuke said that he wanted to do it and that Sakura never considered his feelings. Naruto told her that things couldn't be the same and now everyone would start to walk their own paths. They were all doing what they wanted to do. Was she selfish for wanting things to stay the same? "Sakura, look out," someone yelled, and the pink-haired Kunoichi gasped before she saw the fish expand and explode, sending all the liquids and guts over Sakura's form. She Kunoichi of Team 7 sighed while Ino came behind her. "Man, it's not like you to mess up," the blonde said, and Sakura looked away. "I know. I just got distracted by some of my thoughts," Sakura said, making Ino look at her friend with worry written all over her face. She patted Sakura on the shoulder, making the pink-haired Kunoichi look at her. "Was it about your sensei, Naruto, and Sasuke?" she asked, and Sakura effortlessly nodded, making Ino sigh. "Ino, am I selfish?" Sakura asked unexpectedly, and Ino paused while she thought over the question. She placed a finger to her chin for a few minutes before responding. "Yes," she said, effectively making Sakura face fault into the table while a thundercloud appeared over her, making Ino giggle slightly. "But then again, I think everyone's like that. Not just you. I am like that also, I think. Shikamaru might agree with me. Just keep your head up and you'll be fine, but for now we need to clean up this mess," Ino said, and Sakura could agree with her on that as the two got back to work, but Ino saw a small smile on Sakura's face before giving a smile herself. "I won't slack behind them. Even if we're not a team, we're still comrades and I'll be there when they need me," Sakura said to herself as she took out a rag to wipe up the fish stains. Orochimaru's base. The snake Sannin chuckle as Kabuto came before him. He held up a silk cloth and Orochimaru took it into his hands. Good work, Kabuto. How was the land of iron? Orochimaru asked while Kabuto moved his glasses up his face with a slight grin added. Very cold, but successful, Orochimaru-sama. Our resource has put a great deal into this, Kabuto said, and Orochimaru opened the cloth to see his sword, Kusanagi, but it was different. A few seals ran along the length of the blade in a red color. At the edges of the sword's handle was a small snake scarab. Orochimaru chuckled and stood to his feet before swinging the sword around for a bit. Good work, Kabuto. With this, Sasuke will return to me one way or the other and I will show him how much pain someone gets in when they defy me, Orochimaru said, and Kabuto chuckled with a small nod as Orochimaru's laugh echoed throughout his base. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere the members of Akatsuki gathered around to discuss some rumor that they had heard which seemed to disturb them all. Are you sure that's true? Kisame asked, and Zetsu quickly nodded before turning to the leader of Akatsuki. Pain-sama, it has been confirmed that the Kazekage of Suna is alive. Even though we took his bijou, he is still very much well and about. Did you say that after a bijou is extracted then its host dies? The white half asked, and everyone turned to their leader. That is correct. There is no doubt about that. A source has told me that only the Uzumaki were ever capable of surviving a bijou extraction, the man said, and Haiden chuckled slightly. Maybe that Gaara kid is an Uzumaki, he said, but no one paid him any mind for the moment. So what are we going to do? He's not a Jinchuriki anymore, so should we worry about him? Itachi asked, but Pain closed his eyes and sighed. No, just leave him alone and prepare for the extraction of the others. Itachi, Kisame, you are to go after the Yonbi immediately. Haiden, Kakuzu, subdue the Nibi Jinchuriki. Does anyone know the status of the Sanbai? Pain asked, and they all heard someone yell while he waved his hand back and forth. Oh, Pain-sama, Tobi knows where the Sanbai is because Tobi is a very good boy, the orange-masked Akatsuki member said before Deidara grew a tick mark across his face. Ah, shut up, Tobi, and try to be a respectable Akatsuki member already, Deidara responded as Tobi rubbed the back of his head. That's funny, senpai, since you're the one who got his arms cut off, ha ha ha. Tobi laughed and Deidara disappeared and soon followed Tobi while they all wondered what was going to happen. Anyway, Pain-sama, it seems that since it's been a long time after the Sanbai Jinchuriki's death, the high concentration of bijou chakra has been located near one of the lakes. I'm not sure which one, but it's probably near Konoha or some other place, Itachi said, and Pain nodded. Then Deidara and Tobi will go after it when it resurfaces. That is all, dismissed, he said, and the people started to fade out of sight. With Team Heineken, 3 days later everyone sighed as they came up to a bridge. Sasuke stared at the bridge and narrowed his eyes. Kakashi gave an eye smile while Yugao whistled. Kushina and Mikoto gasped out as Naruto chuckled. Well, you really are unpredictable. Naruto-san. To get a bridge named after you is rather interesting, Yugao asked, and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. I seriously have nothing to do with it. I didn't know they did this, he said, and Sasuke rolled his eyes at his blonde comrade. Sure you didn't, loser. Humph, we were all there, Sasuke slightly pouted, and Kushina wrapped her arms around her son. That's my Sochi for you. He's already making a name for himself, Databane, Kushina said while Naruto blushed. Mikoto shook her head at the two Uzumaki before everyone passed the bridge entrance and in as little to no time at all came up to the land of wave. Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi smiled as they saw the place looking even more lively than before. People were all over the streets, the places were active and the sounds of children were rampant through the streets. Naruto smiled as he took in the happy scene. Ah, that's what I like to see. A good place with happy people, Naruto said, and Sasuke closed his eyes while he folded his arms. HN. All the damn work it took to help them, someone better be happy, Sasuke said, earning laughs from the team before Naruto grew silent. I wonder how Haku and Zabuza are doing. Now that I think about it, I wonder if they could help me out, Naruto thought, and due to their connection Kushina could tell that her son was thinking about something. Maybe it was mother's intuition or the Shinigami powers flowing through her veins, she didn't know. Everyone continued to walk for a little while longer before they came up to Tazuna's house. Naruto knocked on the door and before long everyone heard a voice. "Coming," the soft voice said, and the person opened the door. They immediately gasped at Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi's face before they quickly grew ecstatic. "Naruto-san, you and your friends are back," she said, and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. "Nice to see you, Tsunami-san. Is the old drunkard around?" Naruto asked, and Tsunami nodded as she quickly invited Naruto and the others inside. "He sure is. Along with Inari. Please hang on and I'll go get them," Tsunami as she quickly ran up the stairs. "She seems lively and different from how you described her," Yugao said while Kakashi and Sasuke coughed and Naruto blushed in embarrassment. "No kidding," Naruto said before he heard rapid footsteps. He saw a young teen running at him as the blonde hopped to his feet. "Naruto-Nizan," Inari yelled as he crashed into the blonde. Naruto chuckled as he ruffled the younger one's hair as he saw someone else coming down the stairs. "Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes?" the old man said, and Naruto smiled with a nod. "Same to you. It's good to see you, Tazuna-san," Naruto responded before Tazuna patted him on the back. "Just Tazuna, kid. No need for honorifics between buddies." "So what brings you to my humble home?" he asked, and Naruto got a great, big gleam as he wondered how Tazuna and Inari would respond. He told them everything about what him and his new group were planning to do after introducing them all to the guys and Tsunami. Needless to say, but Tazuna and Inari seemed surprised that Naruto would ask for their help in a matter like this. "So? Do you think you can help us out?" Naruto asked, and Tazuna looked at Inari. The young teen nodded fast with a grin, and Tazuna smiled. "Sure, kid, will be more than happy to help, as I know that Wave still owes you and your friends a debt. Don't worry, we'll have Uzumaki up and running in no time." "Well, it might take a little longer, but you get what I'm saying, right?" he asked, and everyone nodded, chuckling at him and his attitude. "Yeah, we get what you mean just as fine. Thank you for your help," Naruto said, and the others bowed with thanks of their own. "Well, since you have that planned, why don't you all spend the night here? It's been quite a long time since you've been here," Tsunami said, and everyone took her up on that offer since they were a little tired. Everyone went and got settled into their rooms. Yugao and Kakashi were heading for the door before Mikoto stopped them. "Where are you two going?" she asked, and Kakashi rubbed the back of his head. "Just getting some things. It won't take long," he said, and the two decided to leave before Mikoto turned her head to see Sasuke coming up behind her. "Feel like training, Ka-san? I want to see how good you are with that sword of yours," Sasuke said with a gleam in his eyes at the thought of his mother and him having a kenjutsu fight. Mikoto glared playfully at her son and merely chuckled. "All right, Sasuke, but if I win then I get your dessert for dinner," she said as she opened the door to the forest outside, and Sasuke followed her with the smirk never leaving his face before he wondered where Naruto and Kushina were with Naruto the blonde stood at the foot of Haku and Zabuza's graves. He sighed as he noticed the large guillotine sword that was used as a memorial to the two. He closed his eyes as he remembered his encounter with Haku and Zabuza. He found that he could respect them both even if they were enemies. It was such a damn shame that it happened like that. Soon the blonde jumped from a tap on his shoulder and turned around to see Kushina behind him. The redhead Uzumaki woman smiled at her son and lover before she looked at the graves. "Did I scare you, Sochi?" she asked, and Naruto calmed down ultimately with a small sigh at his mother's playfulness. "Very funny, Ka-chan, and yes you did, but I can forgive it, I guess." "So what's up?" he asked, and Kushina knelt down in front of one of the graves. "Thinking about reviving them?" she asked, and Naruto widened his eyes while Kushina closed hers with a smile. "Of course I know how you think, Sochi, because I would be thinking about it too. Just go at your own pace, she said, and Naruto smiled as he nodded. Yeah, that's true, I guess. Hee, by this sunset you look even more beautiful than before, he told her, and Kushina closed her eyes and his a small blush. Flattery gets you nowhere, Sochi, Kushina said before Naruto got a perverted grin and sensually rubbed his mother's shoulder. Should I try harder then? He asked, and Kushina only moaned a small response to his question, which made Naruto smiled. Oh, please try harder then, she said, and Naruto smiled with a slight nod as his hands went down and groped her soft globes. He rubbed his hands over his mother's breasts, making Kushina moan even as she took her hand and rubbed Naruto's soft hair. Sochi, you're getting bolder, she moaned, and Naruto kissed his mother's neck. I like to try for the most beautiful woman in the world, Naruto replied, and Kushina sighed in bliss as her son's touches were a lot more focused and pleasurable than before. So this is where you two were, someone said, making Naruto and Kushina jump. The two turned around to see Mikoto looking at them both from a bit of a distance as the two blushed and removed themselves from each other. Both cursed the Uchiha matriarch appearance, but nothing they could do about it now. Mikoto, what's up? Kushina asked, and the brunette Uchiha eyed them both as they were acting rather suspicious in her eyes, but she could think about that later. Well, it's nothing. I just wanted to know where you two were, as Sasuke was wondering the same thing, Mikoto said, and Naruto sweat dropped. Where is Sasuke? He asked, and Mikoto pointed to the house. Sulking, she said, and Naruto shook his head, as did Kushina, at what they thought might have come true. Also, Tsunami-san wanted me to call you. The dinner is ready and we're leaving tomorrow thanks to one of the construction workers who decided to offer us a boat. Now then, what do you want us to do? Mikoto asked, and Kushina hopped to her feet. Well, we can all eat, then we'll make our plans for Uzumaki. After that, I think we'll do a little bounty hunting. We do need the money, you know, she said, and Mikoto sighed with a nod. Yeah, all right. I'll go and inform the others, she said to her, and then disappeared. Kushina smiled, and so did Naruto before he followed her back to the house. He noticed Haku and Zabuza's graves one more time and smiled. Yeah, just wait, you two. I'll get back to both of you in just a moment, he said in thought as he walked away. You know, brat, maybe it would be best if you just told that old woman about your secret. You're kind of blowing it out of proportion more than usual, Kyubi said, and Naruto closed his eyes. Yeah, I've thought that a lot, but I just don't know. I do think you're right, but tell me, what do you think of the time-space ninjutsu I'm trying to create? Naruto asked, and Kyubi scratched his ears as he laid in a streaming hot bath of lava. He sighed blissfully while his tail stretched out over the place. In my opinion, I still don't see what you're trying to create, but at least it sounds destructive. Better do me good, brat, but you seem to be on the right track. However, promise me one thing, he said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. What's that? He asked while Kyubi's glare intensified. No more Uchiha revivals. I mean it. I hate those bastards for all they're worth. Damn ingrates, Kyubi said, and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Well, I did learn about the whole thing from Ka-chan, but not some hard evidence. I wasn't planning on reviving anyone really, Naruto said, and Kyubi slightly softened. Well, that's great. The less Uchiha I have to know about the better, Kyubi said before he closed his eyes, making Naruto chuckle at him before they got back to the house and enjoyed the company that Tazuna's family had to offer. Next morning, Naruto and the other members of Team Heineken were on the boats headed for Uzumaki along with a large number of men and women who would help them work. Everyone had been in high spirits over the journey while the members of the Kenjutsu team gathered together. I really think we should get started on this bingo book, Kushina said, and everyone pulled out theirs. In the books were all ranked shinobi that went from C rank all the way to SS rank. The members had all agreed last night that they would try to tackle this mission for the sake of teamwork as well as money. It would be better than not to have it done. Maybe we should work our way through it from the bottom. Maybe Sasuke and I should go for it, Naruto said, and the Uchiha didn't really have a problem with it as he could face stronger opponents and get stronger. All for the sake of meeting Itachi and hopefully getting some real answers for a change. I don't mind it at all. I'll be ready to go whenever. Just don't slow me down, loser, Sasuke said to him, and Naruto growled. Right back at Cha team, Naruto said, and Sasuke closed his eyes with a small smirk on his face, leaving everyone confused as to the way the two thought. Well, alright, if you two can handle it then that's fine. We'll wait for about a week as that's how much time it should take to fix most of the place. Naruto and I have high chakra already, and if we help the construction then it will go that much faster. Naruto, Sasuke, I want you both to take out the C and B ranks. That will grant you both more experience. Then we'll all go after the A ranks together. That shouldn't be too hard, Kushina said, and the two boys nodded before they heard a yell. Kushina-san, we have a whirlpool sighting, one of the managers of a boat said, making everyone look at the enormous whirlpools. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and so did Sasuke. Naruto shook his head at the raging water before Kushina took some paper and jumped out of the boat. Everyone gasped as they watched her leave the safety of the boats as the Uzumaki woman walked towards the waters. She took out a pen and wrote on the paper. She was just inches away from being swept by the powerful whirlpools before she slammed the ground with the paper. Yuzu no Fuin, Shotatsu. Whirlpool seal, collision, Kushina yelled and her seal glowed. A light blasted from the paper, causing everyone to cover their eyes. The light immediately swirled around in the air before shooting downwards into the whirlpools, making them crash around violently until they disappeared. Everyone gasped at what Kushina did, and the redhead smiled as she turned around. They won't stay that way forever, so let's get going, people, she told them, and everyone nodded as they moved their boats past the seemingly calm water and managed to disembark at the large strip of land. Alright everyone, let's go and help these good folks out. Tazuna yelled and the people of Wave shouted out their cheers as they walked towards the village. Kushina and Naruto led everyone through the thicket of trees and bushes, and while it was denser than most would have liked, they didn't really care at all. Sasuke took in the sights of the all trees and mess that seemed to be of interest to him, but there wasn't much, at least until he saw the gates. Everyone gasped at the large gates in front of them and gulped as Naruto and Kushina quickly pushed them open. Everyone walked inside and noticed the destroyed buildings and even the partially destroyed streets. It made people's hearts sink at the thought of what might have happened to the rest of Naruto and Kushina's family. Kakashi seemed surprised at the way the village was, as he never thought that the damage was this severe. He might have heard about some of Yuzugakure's history from Kushina, but he never thought that this would be so vacant. It left a rather lonely feeling, but he quickly got over it. Yugao seemed rather sad about the village, but she knew that when it was done it would like awesome as their base of operations, plus it seemed like the ideal place to raise any type of family and have them learn the ways of the world. Yep, the place wouldn't be so bad. Mikoto knew about the destruction of the Uzumaki, but to think that this much damage had happened. It must have been very bad for the Uzumaki, and she could only imagine, since she knew just how Kushina and Naruto might feel since she had her own clan slaughtered, but she bore no hatred to the person who did it since she knew why he did. Sasuke looked around, and while he kept his impassive look, mentally he was rather shocked. Naruto's village looked even worse than his clan compound did. He wondered how Naruto even slept a night knowing that he had no one until now. It really made Sasuke think a little more about Naruto and his problems. Meanwhile, Naruto and Kushina turned to everyone and noticed the slightly depressed mood. Come on, people. We have to make this place great, so do it for us, Naruto said, pumping his fist into the air, and everyone's mood suddenly changed as they all decided to get to work while Naruto, Kushina, Sasuke, Kakashi, Yugao, and Mikoto crossed their fingers. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, they all, and immediately the area was filling with clones of the 6 warriors, making people gasp before the sounds of construction began, but the real Naruto and Sasuke were in a small room getting their things together. Naruto cleaned his sword and Sasuke did the same. They packed their bags full of shinobi supplies. Sasuke placed kunai and shuriken in his hidden pouches while Naruto did the same. The two sheathed their swords and stood to their feet, each with a bingo book in their hands. There aren't that many C-ranked people in the bingo book. Thank God, but they fetch a hefty sum of money Databayo, Naruto said while Sasuke closed his eyes. Well, soon there won't be any of them left in that book. Are you even ready yet? He asked, and Naruto nodded as he stood to his feet. I'm more than ready, he said as he swung his arm around Sasuke, making the Uchiha sigh. Why do I have to go with this loser? The Uchiha thought to himself as they exited the building. They looked to see all of the clones and people working as they headed for the gates. Alright, Kachan will be back in about a week or two. In that time I hope we can be done with what we have to do, Naruto said to her, and Kushina smiled with a nod. Be good, Sasuke, Mikoto said to her son while Naruto snickered, making Sasuke blush. HN, he responded as Naruto waved goodbye to Kushina, Mikoto, Yugao and Kakashi. We'll be back with some money, Naruto yelled as the two shot off, making everyone sigh. There they go, Yugao said while Kushina fake cried. They grow up so fast, she said, making everyone look at her incredulously before they got back to their work of fixing up Uzumaki, which they all hoped wouldn't take long. With Naruto and Sasuke, the two quickly ran through the forest, but abruptly stopped as Naruto took out the bingo book. Sasuke looked at it from Naruto's side and the blonde glared. How about this one? It says that he was a Chunin gate guard who tried to steal from Hokage mansion. He was last sighted at Suna, Naruto said, and Sasuke sighed as he rubbed the back of his head. How are we supposed to improve if this is all we get? He asked, more to himself than Naruto, but the blonde chose to ignore it. Besides, he would get to see Gaara, and that was always good to do. Come on, Sasuke, Naruto said, running off, and the Uchiha groaned before he followed his blonde teammate, but Naruto immediately stopped and Sasuke did the same. The blonde looked at the ground and Sasuke wondered what the problem was. Naruto scratched the back of his head and sighed. Sasuke, can I trust you? Naruto asked, and the Uchiha was taken aback by the question. He noticed the serious tone in Naruto's voice and he narrowed his eyes. What's up with you all of a sudden? Sasuke asked, and Naruto smiled slightly before he shook his head. Sorry, just meaningless talk. Come on, Naruto said, running off, and Sasuke raised an eyebrow as he wondered what the hell Naruto's problem was, but he figured that the blonde would tell him sooner or later. In Suna, Gaara looked around his village as he did his paperwork. He calmly sighed, and still he found himself wondering as he touched his body. He felt weirded out that he could still be alive. You'd think he'd have gotten over it by now, but he didn't know where this unsettling feeling was coming from. He heard a knock on the door and slowly raised his head. Come in, he said, and immediately his assistant and sister, Temari, came into the office and smiled. Having fun, Gaara? She asked, and the redhead kept his impassive face all the way through her question as he found it to be weird to give an answer. He looked out the window and glared at the sands. If being stuck behind this desk is fun, then I suppose so, he said, making Temari lightly chuckle at him before she placed a bunch of papers on his desk while Gaara glared at her, suddenly making Temari sweat drop. Sorry, Gaara, but they have to get done. Also, I received word from Naruto Uzumaki. He's coming to Suna for a bit, Temari said, and Gaara's attitude instantly lightened up slightly as he heard Naruto's name. I see, well, that'll be interesting. Make preparations for his appearance, Gaara said, and Temari bowed with a nod as she left. Gaara sighed as he stood to his feet. Uzumaki Naruto, just what is it that makes you who you are? Gaara wondered before he left his office to go and get some relaxation. He certainly needed it. Soon there was a figure. He smirked as he dropped down into the Kazekage's office. He smiled and looked around. Nobody's here. I guess I'd better get started. Kazekage-sama, be prepared for your final resting place. You have no idea how happy I was to hear that you were dead, but to now see you alive and by mysterious means that even Chiyo-sama doesn't know just plan pisses me off. Go to hell you asshole, the man said as he disappeared from view. With Naruto and Sasuke, 3 days later the two growled as they hid in a cave from a severe sandstorm. It was such a damn annoyance then it came when they were making their way to Suna. Sasuke decided to get some rest and closed his eyes. He didn't notice Naruto getting up to his feet and quickly walked out into the storm. He noticed the raging winds around the dust and sighed. He bit his thumb and traced it over the seal on his arm. Kuchi-ose no jutsu, Naruto yelled before he blocked his gaze from some winds. He turned around to see the Shinigami staring at him a little colder than usual, which really shook Naruto a little, but he didn't let it show. "What is it that you need from me?" the Shinigami asked, and Naruto closed his eyes. He turned around and looked at the ground. "Shin, Kyubi, this might be out of the blue, but what do you both think of me?" Naruto asked them, making the spirit and Bijou raise their eyebrows at his question. "Where did this come from?" Kyubi asked, and Naruto shook his head. "I don't know. This seal on my arm hurts a little. Not to mention that I wonder if I can really bring the peace that Ero-sennin wants. So I'm asking what you two think of me," Naruto said to them both, and the Shinigami decided to go first. "You are by far the most complex human I've ever seen. You're disrespectful to your betters, a little arrogant, clumsy, and all around a rather cheeky person, but you are strong, responsible, admirable and interesting," Shin said, and Naruto gave a small smile. "You are by far the weirdest person I could ever meet. By Kami, if I met half the idiots like you then it would be too many in such a lifetime. You never let much get you down and overall you are just plain weird," Kyubi said to him, and Naruto merely nodded his head. "I see," he said before the Shinigami's gaze lowered. "Is something troubling you?" he asked, and Naruto watched the sandstorm rage. He slightly sighed and sat down on the top of the cave. "I just wonder what good it is if I'm the only person in the world who won't die, then what will I be in the future?" Naruto wondered while Kyubi stood silent. The Shinigami did the same as he wanted to tell Naruto something, but he knew the blonde wouldn't be able to handle the information at the moment. "I don't know what to tell you, so I'll just say this. Survive. If you survive then you will see it all." "Is that all?" the Shinigami asked, and Naruto shook his head as he drew his sword and pointed it at the Shinigami, making the death god raise his eyebrows at the blonde. "I need some training and I don't think that you have a lot to do, right?" Naruto asked, and the Shinigami glared at the blonde before he took his arms. "Assume the stance," he ordered, and Naruto did so. He turned to face the sandstorms in the vicinity while the Shinigami spoke. "Concentrate and pour your chakra into the sword. Make sure to keep a good spiritual feel over it," Shin said, and Naruto closed his eyes as he concentrated his chakra into his sword. The sword hummed and grew bright with a spiritual light that lit up the valley of sand. "Control the fire. Don't let it control you and then release it all at once," the Shinigami said, and Naruto twirled his body. He threw out his sword and 5 streaks of blue fire shot from his sword and slammed into the sandstorms, making them blaze before Naruto calmly dismissed the flames. He turned around and Shin nodded. "Good, but your control is still lacking along with your execution. You seem hesitant," Shin said to Naruto, and the blonde turned around. He sighed and looked at his sword. "Shin, have you ever cared for anyone?" Naruto asked again, and the Shinigami closed his eyes. "That is a story for another time. Come on, we'll keep practicing your technique until your friend wakes up. Now then, take it from the top," Shin said, and Naruto nodded as he continued to practice until Sasuke woke up from his little nap. The sun was starting to go down and Naruto huffed before he sheathed his sword. Shin glared hard at him before calming down. "Well, it's not perfect, but you're getting the hang of it now." "Well done," the Shinigami said, and Naruto smiled with a slight nod. "Alright, thank you, Shin. Also, I'd like to revive someone," Naruto said to him, and Shin nodded. I'd like to revive, damn it, I don't know Gaara's mother's name. Kyuso, how could I forget that damn fact? Stupid, Naruto said, keeping the last part to himself before he sighed. H then gasped as he remembered Neji. He made it apparent that he would help the guy out. As far as he knew, Neji's mother wasn't around, or rather she left the village at one point. He only knew that his father raised him. I want to revive Hisashi Hyuga of the Hyuga clan. Brother of Hayashi Hyuga and father of Neji Hyuga, Naruto said, and the Shinigami nodded as he did the same procedure as always, making a light that shined over the entire area. It soon settled down and the Shinigami turned to Naruto. I expect my payment by the end of the week, Shin said, and Naruto nodded as the spirit disappeared. He then turned to see Hisashi Hyuga looking at him weirdly as he took a Hyuga battle stance. Who are you and where am I? He asked while Naruto's sweat dropped. Ungrateful Hyuga bastard, Naruto thought, making Kyubi snicker as the blonde sighed. Look, I'm tired, so I'll get to the chance. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde said, and Hisashi widened his eyes to seeing the Kyubi Jinchuriki, who was much older than he last remembered. What? He asked, and Naruto nodded. That's right. I revived you. No, I didn't use the Edo Tensei to do it. I'm better than that. I did it because I know Neji misses you, Naruto said, and Hisashi lowered his gaze at the mentioning of his son. Neji, how is he? Does he still hate the main branch? Hisashi asked, fearing the answer, and Naruto smiled as he shook his head. No, he doesn't. He's quite looked upon by the main branch as he's training Hinata and Hanabi, Naruto answered, and Hisashi smiled as he looked at the ground. He chuckled slightly before glancing at Naruto. You've gotten taller. Plus you look a lot more mature now, Hisashi said, and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, well, growing up does that to you, doesn't it? Naruto asked as he took out a piece of paper. He quickly handed it to Hisashi and smiled. Hisashi Hyuga, you should really go back to Neji. He misses you a lot. Even if he asks like he's gotta stick up his ass sometimes, Naruto said, keeping the last part to a whisper among other things, which made Hisashi wonder what he said. Tell me, Naruto-san, why did you do it? Hisashi asked, and Naruto smiled. 'Cause I don't like seeing anyone unhappy about these things, Naruto said as he took out a piece of paper and wrote on it. After a few minutes he passed it to Hisashi. The Hyuga took the note and put it away. Give that to Neji. Also Konoha is 2 or 3 days away. Now then, let me tell you something else, Naruto said, and Hisashi nodded. The blonde told him everything about the Shinigami, and needless to say this, but Hisashi gasped as he looked at Naruto. That's insane. The Shinigami made you its summoner? But from the way you spoke, you aren't lying. It's just so unbelievable. You really are one mysterious kid, Hisashi said, and Naruto closed his eyes. If you don't mind, please keep this a secret from Tsunade-chan, and the rest of the Hyuga. Hayashi-san knows about it and he said that he wouldn't speak. Can I ask that you not do the same? Naruto asked, and Hisashi smiled. Why would Hayashi do something like that? Hisashi asked at the mentioning of his older brother. Well, I brought back Hinako-san for him, Naruto said, and Hisashi widened his eyes at the mentioning of his younger sister. Hinako is back also? Naruto Uzumaki, you are just impossible to figure out, Hisashi said, and Naruto nodded with a slight smile. Yeah, I pride myself on that, Dadabayo, he said with a thumbs up, and Hisashi could only give a small smile. You have my word of silence, Uzumaki-san, Hisashi said, and Naruto's face beamed with thanks as he shook Hisashi's hand. Thank you, but you'd better go. Neji's waiting for you, Naruto said, and Hisashi instantly shot off as he disappeared into the sands, and just in time too, as Naruto turned around to see Sasuke starting to stir. Anything happen? He asked, but Naruto shook his head and smiled. The storms have calmed down. I think we can go now, Naruto said, and Sasuke nodded as they left the caves. Naruto and Sasuke trudged across the sandy terrain, and before long they noticed a person in the distance. Most of his body was covered from the sands before he turned around. He noticed Naruto and Sasuke making the two tents. They weren't wearing their Konoha headbands, so maybe they were alright for the moment. They weren't sure. Sasuke took out the bingo book and looked at it. He then looked up and growled. "Naruto, that's him. His name is Hiro Shinichi. He was the one who got away. He specializes in Katon and Raiton elements," Sasuke said, and Naruto naturally glared at the man before he glared back at them. "Who are you? You looking for me? Oh, let me guess that the both of you are from Konoha. How nice. I was getting bored," he said as he cracked his knuckles. He placed his stuff down and took out a kunai. "Sasuke, mind if I take this guy?" Naruto asked, and the Uchiha sighed as he walked away. He stood a couple of feet back and folded his arms. "Just hurry up. We have more targets to take care of," Sasuke said, and Naruto nodded while Hiro growled. "Please, the last thing you see will be me with my kunai ending your lives," Hiro said, and Naruto took out his sword. "Sorry, but I'm going to have to disagree with you," Naruto said as he quickly erased the distance between himself and Hiro. The Chunin shinobi gasped before he was slammed in the stomach, which sent him to the ground. Naruto glared at him before Hiro grabbed the blonde's arm, and with a quick maneuver he flung Naruto over his arm and into the air. Sasuke watched Naruto rebound before Hiro did his hand signs. "Katon, Hozenka no Jutsu," he yelled, sending a multiple of fire bullets at Naruto, and the blonde rolled his eyes as he slashed through them all effortlessly with his blade. Hiro watched his attack get defeated quickly before Naruto drew his sword back. "Yuzu no Fukusu, Moyasu Shurji, Whirlpool Revenge, Single Burn Slash," Naruto yelled, and Sasuke watched as fire danced around Naruto just like the water did that one time, and he gasped, and the blonde vanished in a blur of speed and appeared on the ground behind Hiro. The Chunin gasped while Naruto gave a cold glare. "Fall under the weight of the whirlpools," Naruto said as he sheathed his sword. Immediately a blazing line of fire appeared from the sky to the ground while Hiro fell to the ground. Naruto got to his feet and turned around. Not hard at all," he said while Sasuke came up behind him. "What would you expect of a C-rank shinobi?" he asked, and Naruto shrugged since he figured that Sasuke did in fact have a point. Naruto looked at the man and turned to Sasuke. "Hey Sasuke, could you take a look at the bingo book for our next target?" Naruto asked, and Sasuke did so as he turned around to think. Naruto sighed and quickly summoned the Shinigami. Which was for the second time today and his last time. Naruto quickly paid for Hisashi's body, and the Shinigami easily took it. "Payment accomplished," he said before disappearing as Sasuke turned around. "Did you say something?" he asked, and Naruto sweated and scratched his cheek. He pulled his scarf over his neck a little more and chuckled. "I say that the payment for some Ichiraku ramen was accomplished," he said, and Sasuke raised an eyebrow before sighing. Well, when you're done with ramen, let's get back to business so we can head back to Uzumaki and get through the rest of this list," Sasuke said, and Naruto could agree with him on that. "Yeah, you're right. Let's hurry up and got to Suna so we can, Eric." Naruto suddenly yelled as he fell to the ground. Sasuke widened his eyes as the seals on Naruto's arms began to glow. He cried out while Sasuke touched his arm, but it immediately burned his hand, making the Uchiha curse. "Naruto, what's wrong with you?" Sasuke asked while the blonde growled. Sasuke could only stare helplessly as his comrade went through some pain. He watched in awe as Naruto's sword hummed brightly. Naruto cursed the pain indefinitely, and before long Sasuke noticed Naruto's seals extend across his body. Naruto's eyes widened as the world around him seemed to change. He looked around and saw small white lights. He raised an eyebrow at them all, but they immediately vanished and Naruto's world returned to normal in his eyes while the pain stopped. Naruto gasped and breathed heavily while Sasuke knelt down. "You alright?" he asked, and Naruto stood to his feet. He huffed and nodded as he rubbed his head. "Why yeah, I think so," the blonde said as he got to his feet. He took his sword into his hands and sheathed it. "What happened to you?" Sasuke asked, and Naruto sighed. "I'd rather not say, Sasuke. Let's just hurry up to Suna," Naruto told him as he walked further ahead, and the Uchiha relented for the moment since Naruto had been through some pain, but he then activated his Sharingan and looked at Naruto's chakra. Sasuke widened his eyes at what he saw before he turned his Sharingan off. What was that, he thought as he followed Naruto towards Suna. Meanwhile the Shinigami appeared in the air and glared. "He's improving more and more. Soon he will be all that he should be. I can't say it will be a pleasant experience, but it comes with being the summoner." "She must be feeling the same thing," Shin said before he vanished. "With Kushina, are you alright?" Mikoto asked as Kushina fell to the ground in pain. She was experiencing the same thing as Naruto was, and no one could understand why it was like this. "Someone get her some water," Yugao told them, and everyone quickly ran to go do just that. No one would know just how important these changes would be or how they would affect the entire shinobi world. Uzushiogakure House. Kushina sighed as she opened her eyes. She looked at the ceiling of one of the house in her home village and rubbed her head. She didn't remember what happened to her, as she only remembered that she was standing in the middle of the road before she passed out. She instantly recalled the unbearable pain that she had experienced only a few moments after that moment and groaned. "I wonder what that pain was all about. I felt a huge upsurge in my chakra, almost to the point of not being able to control it. I wonder if this has to do with Sochi-kun and his contract," Kushina said, keeping the last part to her thoughts before she slowly leaned up, only to be greeted by some pain in her body before she collapsed back to the bed. "Great, now I can't move. My day is not going well, Databane," Kushina said, and then she was able to hear the sounds of construction going on outside that made her turn to the window next to the door. She saw people walking about around the village and closed her eyes for a bit until she heard a knock on her door. She watched it open to reveal Yugao with a basket of water and a hot towel. The only reason Kushina could see it was hot was because of the steam coming from the cloth. "Kushina-san, it's good to see that you're awake. You gave us all a real scare," Yugao said, and Kushina sheepishly chuckled as she tried to rub the back of her head, but the stinging sensation of pain in her arms almost made it impossible. "I see, sorry about that," Kushina said to her teammate, making Yugao nod before she soaked the towel in the water and placed it over Kushina's head. The redhead Uzumaki sighed in bliss, then closed her eyes. "How are Kakashi and Mikoto?" Kushina asked, and Yugao gave a gentle smile, knowing that Naruto's mother would want all the details before she passed out. "Well, Kakashi-senpai and Mikoto-san are helping out in the construction of Uzumaki along with the clones that everyone made. Progression has been very good, and we can expect that this place, if no problems happen, to be good in about a month and a half," Yugao answered, and Kushina smiled with a nod. "That would be really great if it could happen." Kushina-san?" Yugao asked, and the Kushina opened her eyes and turned them to her purple-haired subordinate. "Yes?" Kushina responded. She watched Yugao shift in the chair uncomfortably and wondered what was wrong with the Exumbu before Yugao turned to her. "It's not any of my business in what you do or anything, so you don't have to answer this, but what is the relationship between you and Naruto-san?" Yugao asked, and Kushina widened her eyes. She gave a small blush across her face and her heart thumped from her son's name. She carefully shifted her hand to move across her chest to calm the beating before looking at Yugao in confusion. "I don't know what you mean," Kushina said, playing some form of innocence, but she had a very good idea of what Yugao was getting at. "What I'm asking is, why are you closer to your son than any normal mother and son?" Yugao asked, and Kushina closed her eyes before giving a small smile across her face which seemed to confuse Yugao, making her wonder if something was funny in what she was asking. "Well, you forget, but wasn't there for Naruto. I'm lucky that he still accepted me so readily on my return. I might seem closer to him than what would be deemed as acceptable in most people's eyes, but I don't really care. Trust me, I did, but it feels absolutely right to be close to him. So why are you so interested? Do you like my son? Kushina asked, and Yugao closed her eyes. No, that's not it. I was just curious is all. I have nothing against it or anything. Just wanted to know, Yugao said as she got to her feet and left the room while Kushina closed her eyes and looked at the ceiling with a small smile on her face. I wonder how Sochi-kun is doing right now, she said to herself as she wondered what her son could be doing at the moment. With Naruto and Sasuke, the two Heineken members were currently walking towards Suna as their next destination, or at least Sasuke was, while Naruto lagged behind. His body was still hurting from that mysterious pain that had been dealt to him at that random moment. He didn't know what it was about, but he just figured that he should get over it. Hey loser, hurry up and get a move on, Sasuke called, and Naruto groaned. He knew that he couldn't really complain, but he really did want to relax. They had been walking for over 3 hours, and while they wanted to make a mad dash, they at least decided to take it easy for another time. Keep your shorts on, team. I'm coming, Naruto grumbled, but he was suddenly relieved as Uchiha and Uzumaki looked in the distance to see the wall of Suna. Naruto dropped to his knees in the sand and sighed. Finally, he shouted, making Sasuke roll his eyes before the two decided to pick up their paces and head for Sunagakure. Sunagakure. Naruto and Sasuke came up to the large gates of Suna and marveled at the walls, especially Sasuke since he had never been inside the Suna before. He had his workings with them, but as far as visiting the village, then he would be relying on Naruto for that. Halt, who are you and what do you want? Someone asked while Naruto passed Sasuke and smiled. He was about to announce their names and their reasons before the Suna Shinobi felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see Gaara, Temari and Kankuro behind him. That's enough. Show Naruto Uzumaki your respect. It's because of him that I'm even here at the moment. Sorry about that, Naruto Uzumaki. Suna is still on edge after what happened to me, Gaara said, and Naruto nodded as he rubbed the back of his head. It's no problem, man. I think I can understand, Naruto said, and before long he noticed Gaara and Kankuro eyes trailing down his new uniform, but it seemed that Temari was the one who was really checking him out. Wow, Naruto really fills out that uniform quite well, Temari thought to herself before she turned her eyes, and the sight of what she saw shocked her before she pointed. Why your dash, she started while Gaara and Kankuro narrowed their eyes at Sasuke. The Uchiha closed his eyes, and while the glares did set him off slightly, he chose to ignore them. Uchiha Sasuke, Gaara said, and everyone tensed before Naruto gave him a thumbs up, confusing everyone. I told you I'd bring his ass back, Naruto said, and Sasuke lightly grumbled, but he did admit that Naruto had helped him out. He finally had his mother back and he could finally think about something other than Itachi all the time. Granted, it didn't stop all the hurt that Sasuke felt, but it was enough to at least not have him betray the village since Naruto kept his promise to the Uchiha. Still, that unsettling feeling that Sasuke had when he took a peek at Naruto's chakra was still there. It was disturbing if he had to give it a word. I see. That's just like you, Naruto. I'm glad that you could fulfill your promise. We have received your message and have waited for you eagerly. Please enjoy Suna, Gaara said to him, and Naruto nodded as he passed through the walls along with Sasuke. The two Heineken members started across the village and Naruto smiled while Sasuke folded his arms. Don't forget why we're here, loser, Sasuke said, and Naruto nodded with a small sigh while he took out a book. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro noticed Naruto's book, and somehow they all knew it was the bingo book only because of its color. Naruto, you're a hunter nin? Kankuro asked as he was rather surprised that the blonde had advanced so quickly that their Hokage would actually make him a hunter nin for the village. No, I'm not. Even if that sounds really cool. I'm sorry, but I can't tell you what I am. Bachan's orders. I hope you can understand, Naruto told them, making Kankuro nod along with Temari. Gaara didn't seem to really care, as he had known about the pressures of secrets, even from one's friends. Tell me, guys. Do you know of a guy named Genra? Naruto asked, and Gaara narrowed his eyes. Temari and Kankuro did the same and glared at Naruto while the blonde put his hand up defensively before Sasuke intervened. He's one of Konoha's targets and he's in our bingo book. You three obviously know something, Sasuke said, gazing back at them while Gaara closed his eyes and motioned for Naruto and Sasuke to follow him. Temari and Kankuro followed suit while Gaara explained. He was a Konoha shinobi, but he became a Suna shinobi only recently. It seems that word hasn't spread about him yet, but I figured that Konoha was looking for him. We agreed to keep him safe and his services are used for Suna. If it's not too much trouble, then can you tell me what he did? Gaara asked, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Didn't he tell you before you made him a shinobi? Naruto asked while Gaara looked at him incredulously, which effectively made the blonde sweat drop. I did. He told me that he only left Konoha because he found out about trouble going on there. He had saved some genin from an earlier mission, so I had no real reason to doubt him, but I'd like to keep my doubts low, Gaara answered, and Naruto nodded as he took out the book. Well, according to this, he's wanted for stealing just a few Katan scrolls from a jutsu library. He was a chunin in the armed forces a few years ago, Naruto said, and Gaara nodded while he sighed. Well, I'll get what I can out of him, but for now I'd like that you leave this to me. Here, I'll show you the documentation of his allegiance to Suna, Gaara said to them both, making Sasuke and Naruto nod as they came up to the man. Naruto gazed at it before he stopped. Gaara, wait. Naruto called, and immediately everyone stopped while Naruto and some newly summoned clones grabbed everyone and quickly flew to the ground. Boom! The earth shook around everyone while they covered their heads. People all screamed through the streets of Suna while Naruto got himself off of everyone. They all quickly got to their feet and gasped while Gaara narrowed his eyes. The Kazekage mansion, Temari said as she saw it blazing in flames before 6 shinobi tried to put out the flames. Temari went to go and aid everyone in the assault on the fire while a shinobi appeared behind Gaara. Lord Kazekage, are you alright? The man asked, and Gaara turned around. I'm fine thanks to Naruto Uzumaki. What has happened, Baki? Gaara asked, and the man stood to his feet while Naruto and Sasuke narrowed their eyes. It seems that both managed to come at a good time of something was about to go down. We are not sure, Kazekage-sama, but we know that it was a spy. He must have broken through our defenses at one point in the past, Baki said, and Gaara closed his eyes as he watched the fire burning go down, but the smoke was still evident in the air while Gaara closed his eyes. Close down the village. Don't let anyone leave without my say-so. Call back all the shinobi who are on missions and prepare a council meeting immediately, Gaara ordered, and Baki nodded as he quickly shined out of sight while Gaara turned to Naruto and Sasuke, who were looking at the smoke. The blonde balled his fists in anger at the thought of Gaara getting targeted again. The guy had suffered enough, so what was the fucking deal? Uzumaki, Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, please let me show you to your place of rest. It would be wise if you didn't get involved this time. I'm sorry that this has happened on your stay, but please rest and let Suna take care of everything, Gaara said to him before he noted Naruto's stare. Sorry, Gaara, but I couldn't do that. When you were taken, Suna immediately asked us for help and we came. Don't think that just 'cause you're back that we can't help you out. You're my friend, you know, Naruto said, and Gaara slightly widened his eyes while Sasuke gave a hidden smirk across his face. The Suna Kage closed his eyes and smiled. Very well. I'll be making an announcement later after the council meeting is finished. I'd like you to stay in your rooms till that time. I'll have Matsuri and Sari get you both when it's time, Gaara said before vanishing in a sand shunshin as a chunin escorted Naruto and Sasuke to their rooms. With Danzo, the old war hawk of Konoha, was currently trudging the countryside with his two most loyal shinobi, Toryun and Fu. It would be easy to say that he was rather frustrated with the whole ordeal, as he had to leave his base of operations because of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and Tsunade's little group of Kenjutsu users. Danzo hadn't been expecting that one, but the most interesting thing that he didn't expect was Mikoto. He was sure. He was so sure that she had died. There was no way that her little story checked out. The only reason he had known about Mikoto's story was from the fact he had a well-placed seal in the room for such things. None of it was adding up at all. Kushina being alive, then Hanako of the Hyuga clan, and then Mikoto. It was like a Day of the Dead festivity that the Shinigami allowed. It had all started ever since Naruto had come back from the village. Danzo widened his eyes before he stopped walking, making Toryun and Fu turn around. Danzo-sama? Toryun asked in concern for the man while Danzo narrowed his eyes. He pointed to a tree and sat down while he thought the new information over. He doubted someone as high and powerful as the Shinigami would deal in the interest of someone like Naruto. The blonde didn't have a single redeeming quality that Danzo knew of except the Kyuubi inside him, which granted the blonde impossible chakra reserves, a healing ability, and increased power altogether. Maybe I'm overthinking this. There is no way that the Shinigami would be interested in that brat. Well, I'll think about that later, Danzo thought to himself, and before long he closed his eyes and stood to his feet. It didn't take him long, but he noticed another presence behind a tree and took out a kunai, only to be met with a kunai to his back in turn. He narrowed his eyes while Fu and Toryun took out kunai of their own, obviously much too slow. "Tell those two to back off or I'll kill you without batting an eye," the man said, and Danzo waved his men back to a safe distance while he tried to find out who it was. The person was wearing a cloak over his entire body and he wore an orange mask that Danzo saw. It was Tobi of Akatsuki, but something was wrong. Gone was the cheerful, and very much idiotic, voice that the Akatsuki member was known for, and replaced by a cold, merciless, dark voice. "See? That wasn't so hard," Tobi said in his voice while Danzo merely held his hands up in submission, "but it wouldn't be that way for long." "Who are you and what do you want?" Danzo asked, and the Tobi smiled behind his mask while his Sharingan glared. "Simple, I'm going to control the world. I will bring about the peace that so many want," Tobi said, and Danzo growled. "I see, well then we desire the same thing," Danzo said, but Tobi quickly moved the kunai closer to Danzo's skin, making it bleed slightly off his back. "No, we might have the same goal, but my way is the absolute way. I heard about what happened in Konoha. Such a shame to be defeated by the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and his friends. Tell me, have you lost weight from your traveling?" he asked, and Danzo closed his eye. "It matters not. Tell me what you want," Danzo ordered, and Tobi smiled. "I told you. I simply want peace, under my rule," he said, making Danzo glare before he heard a small noise and turned around to see Tobi gone from view while he quickly moved his eye. All of his presence has been erased. What kind of man was I dealing with? Danzo wondered before Toryun and Fu rejoined him. "Danzo-sama, are you alright?" Toryun asked, and the elder held up his hand as an action for Toryun and Fu to stop their worrying. "I can handle myself. Just don't let your guard down anymore. I'll have to thank that man. It's because of him that I know what I must do," Danzo said, making Toryun and Fu raise their eyebrows at him while Danzo merely walked ahead of them to an unknown location. With Naruto and Sasuke, the two Kenjutsu users were resting at the foot of their beds as they contemplated everything that was happening. Suna was in a code red situation, and the two saw Suna Shinobi passing the village every few seconds. It was like watching a rerun of some cartoon, but the two couldn't do anything about it. Sasuke watched Naruto trudge around the floor, making the Uchiha close his eyes at his partner's frustration. "Would you calm down? What good will it do to be agitated already? Sasuke asked and Naruto paused before he nodded and Sasuke was surprised when Naruto stopped and simply sat down on his bed. He sighed and rubbed his hands through his golden hair. Yeah, you're right. I still wish we could do something, Naruto said and Sasuke could honestly agree as he was getting rather impatient also. This feeling of being left in the dark was absolutely aggravating. Trust me, I'd much rather be out there catching the ass who did this rather than be in here, but we have no choice in this, Sasuke said and Naruto knew he was right. The blonde sighed and simply took out his bingo book. He looked through the entire C-ranked section and some of the B-ranked section. He narrowed his eyes before he took out a scroll. Sasuke watched him as Naruto bit his thumb and slammed it on the ground. Kuchi-ose no jutsu, Naruto yelled and immediately a frog came out and saluted Naruto. Hey man, how you doin'? The frog asked and Naruto smiled as he folded his arms. Doing good Gamakichi. Hey, do you mind giving this scroll to Tsunade-bachan? Naruto asked and the toad nodded before he took it in his webbed hands. Fine, but I want some snacks as compensation, he said and Naruto closed his eyes with a small sigh escaping from his lips before he nodded and Gamakichi left the room making the blonde groan. Damn that guy and his snack-eating craze, Naruto said and Sasuke narrowed his eyes before shrugging the incident as he turned to Naruto. Hey Naruto, tell me. What's up with your chakra? Sasuke asked trying to be serious and Naruto opened his eyes as he turned to his friend. What are you talking about? My chakra's fine, Naruto said, but he was surprised when Sasuke shook his head and his scowl deepened. He doubted Naruto was keeping the chakra a secret, but if he really didn't know about it then, what was happening to the blonde? Your chakra, it's not a normal color, Sasuke said and Naruto raised an eyebrow while mentally he was talking with Kyuubi. You think he found out about you and your chakra? Naruto asked and Kyuubi raised a tired eyebrow at the blonde's question while his tail swirled around his form. I highly doubt it. Granted you did use my chakra during the fight 2 years ago, but he shouldn't have traced it back to me unless he absolutely knows that you're a Jinchuriki, Kyuubi said and Naruto seemed to agree while Sasuke finally decided to speak. Your chakra, it's white, Sasuke said making Naruto widen his eyes and even making Kyuubi lower his gaze as to what the Uchiha was talking about. Naruto, something happened to you during the time you were in pain. Chakra is normally a bluish color, but yours is pure white. It's almost like a spirit chakra, Sasuke said and Naruto raised an eyebrow. What spirit chakra? Naruto asked and Kyuubi sighed while he tried to resist the urge to facepalm, but then again that was the way Naruto was so he would just have to tell the blonde. I would tell you to stuff it and figure it out, but I won't speak to my associate that way for now brat. I guess I won't hold it against you since you mortals wouldn't know what spirit chakra is which makes me wonder how that Uchiha brat knows it, Kyuubi said and Naruto just decided to agree even if half of that talk was insulting in some way. So you gonna tell me or do I have to come in that seal and force you? Naruto asked mentally with a snicker which, on the outside, made Sasuke wonder what was so funny about this conversation. Humph, like you could force me to do anything Naruto, but anyway. Spirit chakra is the foundational chakra of that is compared to a biju's. It's raw, unformed, untainted chakra. Now by the being such as the Shinigami it's not called chakra at all. By the Shinigami, himself, it is called Honshu, life essence. Kami, herself, and the Shinigami are, by my knowledge, the only ones who contain this essence. I have no idea what it does though nor what it means for you, Kyuubi explained and Naruto narrowed his eyes. His chakra was gone and it was replaced with this new form called Honshu? I see, so that's what it is, Naruto said accidentally aloud allowing Sasuke to hear him. What? Did you figure something out? The Uchiha asked and Naruto merely got to his feet and headed for the door. Sorry Sasuke, but I'll be, Kyuso. Naruto suddenly yelled shocking Sasuke as the blonde just remembered that he had summoned Shin twice already. He'd have to wait till tomorrow to do anything, and boy was that going to be a fucking pain. It was then that Naruto asked Kyuubi for the reminder to bring up that whole summoning twice a day thing. It was really starting to irk the blonde to no end. Ugh, never mind. No, I didn't figure something out. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, but it's more of a theory than anything else, Naruto said, and Sasuke widened his eyes as he wondered how Naruto even knew what the word theory meant. How much did his mother teach the blonde Heineken member? Well, forget it then, Sasuke said, and Naruto nodded before the two heard a rapid knock on the door. Both raised their senses as Naruto opened the door only to see Matsuri and Sari behind the door huffing. Matsuri, Sari. You two actually came, Naruto said, making the two smile as they both remembered Naruto as he was the most talked about person in Suna for rescuing their Kazekage. Greetings Naruto-san. We were sent by Gaara-sama too, Matsuri's voice trailed off as she and Sari took a look at Naruto's appearance. The blonde gave them both a blank stare as they inspected him from top to bottom. He looked like one hell of a shinobi, and needless to say, but if both weren't into Gaara then they would be more than tempted to go for Naruto. That is if they didn't know that the blonde was already taken by one gorgeous woman already. Matsuri? Sari? He asked, snapping the two out of their dazes. Sasuke huffed at them both as he found it similar in his youth, but that was for another time. The two genin girls blushed before Sari sighed. Sorry Naruto-san. Gaara-sama has asked for the both of you to come to Chiyo-sama's place, Sari answered, and Naruto turned to Sasuke, who nodded before turning back. Alright, we'll be right there. Thank you both, he said, and the two genin nodded before they watched Naruto take up his scarf that he had on his bed and wrap it around his neck. Sasuke did the same and then strapped his sword to his waist. Naruto checked over his sword and wondered if it was time for a small upgrade, but he could think about that later. He strapped it back to his waist also, and the two exited their room. Alright then, we'll get going ladies. Please excuse us, Naruto said as he and Sasuke shined out of sight while Sari and Matsuri merely left to go and help out around the village. With Tsunade, the Hokage of Konoha, was currently doing her paperwork as usual with the bored look on her face. She had Shizune glaring down on her, making her mentally groan. You know I can get this done without you hovering over me, Tsunade said before she sweat dropped to see Shizune smile as she held up a senbon. Just wanted to keep you company Tsunade-sama, Shizune said, and Tsunade gulped while just merely nodded with a word of praise. She really needs a boyfriend. Sheesh, Tsunade said in thought before a poof came to her, shocking the female Sannin. The two medics looked to see Gamakichi with a sure smile on his face. Yo old hag. I have a scroll delivery from my main man. Here you go lady, the toad said, making the woman growl as she slammed Gamakichi on the head for the tactless comment, and Tsunade took the scroll and knew it would be from Naruto, but what she thought it was she wouldn't know. The toad poofed out and Tsunade unsealed the scroll only for the both of them to be surprised by a body falling out of the scroll while Tsunade shuddered and a note fell out while Shizune examined it. Sasuke and I took down this guy from the bingo book. Please forward the money to the group's Heineken account please. It really is hot over here in Suna. Ugh, well I got to go. See you later Bachan. Naruto Uzumaki, Tsunade chuckled despite herself and then looked at the body before a small grimace came over her face. Death was never a pleasant thing, but to think that Naruto and Sasuke said that they took him down so easily. Well, the blonde was able to keep up with Kakashi, so that might have had something to do with it. Well, Naruto-kun seems to be adjusted to his new job, Shizune said while Tsunade sighed. She waved for an umbu to remove the body while she got started on the money transfer for Naruto and Sasuke. Yeah, I suppose. Though I'm surprised that the brat is in Suna. They should all be in Uzushiogakure at the moment, she figured, and Shizune raised an eyebrow. Well, maybe they split into groups to get more work done. It's what I would have done if I was a member on their team, Shizun said, and Tsunade merely shrugged at the response before getting back to her work, and for some reason that she wasn't sure of, but she knew that there would be more unpleasantness with the amount of bodies the blonde would show to her. Uzumaki Kushina struggled against some pain, but she could finally move freely and stood to her feet. She felt a lot better, and it was rather high in the afternoon at that point. She stretched and resisted the urge to wince at the soreness, but let it go for the moment. Kushina exited the room and opened the door to the outside and saw the tons of people still working. Rooftops were being remodeled, furniture was being remade, and even the training grounds were starting to look like new since people were cutting the grass. "Kushina, you all right now?" someone asked, making the redhead turn her gaze to see Mikoto walking up to her. Kushina gave a soft smile and nodded as she rolled her arms in a circular motion. "You know me. Nothing can keep me down, Databane," Kushina said as she pumped a fist in the air only for her to slightly curse as she rubbed it, making Mikoto smile. "Well, don't overexert yourself. You really did scare us." "Any idea what happened to you?" she asked, and Kushina shook her head, but she felt her chakra coils and they felt different somehow. She wasn't sure, but she could feel that Naruto was feeling the same way from their connection. The way the Shinigami explained it, her chakra was sort of like a valve for Naruto's developing Shinigami powers. No human is capable of going through the contract with a god and not getting a bit of pain out of it. Kushina's point was to lessen that load on Naruto, as it would have hurt a lot more if she wasn't there to take some of the pain also. She was kind of used to it in a sense. "Nope, no idea, but at least whatever it was, it's gone," Kushina said, and Mikoto nodded with a small smile on her face before they were met by Kakashi and Yugao. "Well, Kushina, it's nice to see that you're awake. Yugao and I are going to take a crack at the bingo book since we don't have a mission at the moment. We're going to take it easy and simply do a B rank before Naruto and Sasuke come back. We'll see you in a few days," Kakashi said, and Kushina nodded as they left in a swirl of leaves, making Kushina and Mikoto giggle slightly. It was all good before Kushina's mood changed and she narrowed her eyes, making Mikoto look at her. "Kushina, is something wrong?" Mikoto asked, and Kushina placed her hand on her head and rubbed it. "No, it's nothing." "Sochi, why did you get so serious?" Kushina wondered as she answered Mikoto's question. With Naruto, the blonde Uzumaki and brunette Uchiha were hopping along the rooftops towards Chiyo's place. Naruto was leading the way since Sasuke didn't know his way around the village. The two sped through the village and they still noticed the multitude of Suna shinobi around the village. Naruto cursed and quickly ran, almost leaving Sasuke behind because of his mother's training over the 2 years, which surprised the Uchiha slightly, but he managed to at least keep up with the blonde before the two dropped in front of a house. They saw 3 Suna shinobi guarding it with strict caution, and they all tensed when they saw Naruto and Sasuke arrive. "What are you doing here?" one of them asked, and before Sasuke could respond, Gaara came into view behind them. "I called them here. Now let me inside," he said, and the guards easily nodded as Gaara motioned for Naruto and Sasuke to enter along with him. It wasn't a bad house at all. It was at least somewhere in the deeper parts of the village. It looked pleasant looking both inside and out. Gaara, Naruto, and Sasuke continued through the halls of Chiyo's house while Naruto turned to him. "So Gaara, what did your council say?" Naruto asked, and the red-headed Kazekage turned around and tried to keep his face impassive. "I told them the same thing. We're not letting people leave without looking for possible suspects. Analysis from some of the others say that the bombing was made for me. It was centered in the Kazekage mansion room where I do my work. It was lucky that I and the council weren't inside, but we lost more than a dozen shinobi who were working and less than a dozen are injured," Gaara said, and Naruto sighed while Sasuke merely stayed silent. "I see," the blonde said before the 3 came up to a small room. They could see Chiyo softly mediating underneath what seemed to be a small tent, but they could think about it later. "So Gaara, what brings you to my home?" "Oh, I see we have Naruto-chan here as well as an Uchiha," Chiyo said, making Sasuke narrow his eyes. How did you know I am an Uchiha? Sasuke asked, and Chiyo gave a small smile before standing to her feet. You don't get my age without knowing a few things. Why, you're the spitting image of Fugaku when he was young along with Mikoto-chan's hair, Chiyo said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. You knew Sasuke's mother just like mine? He asked, and Chiyo nodded with the same elderly smile as always. That's right. She was just like Kushina except a bit more mature in some aspects. Well, Gaara, it seems that a commotion has been caused in the village again. We really are a popular village, aren't we? Chiyo asked, and Gaara decided not to agree outwardly, but he seemed to contemplate her words. Gaara said it was internal this time. Which means that Suna might be facing a coup, Naruto said, and Chiyo closed her eyes. So what have you to ask of an old woman like me? She asked, making Naruto and Sasuke turn to Gaara, who knelt down on one knee with his gourd on his back. I would like for you offer me a little piece of equipment that I will need, Gaara said, and Chiyo narrowed her eyes. She had the feeling of what Gaara could be talking about and walked out of the room and into the storage room behind her house while the others waited. Sasuke sat down and entwined his fingers together while his head rested on the top of them. Gaara folded his arms and Naruto leaned against the wall. The blonde looked at Gaara for the most part and closed his eyes. Nagara, I know this is out of the blue and definitely not the time to ask, but can you tell me about your mother? Naruto asked him, and Gaara looked at Naruto with a steely gaze. Sasuke raised an eyebrow at him and wondered also. First it was the blonde's mother, then his own. He had seen Hinata's mother at least once before they left for Uzumaki. She seemed rather nice. What was it with Naruto and people's mothers? Why do you ask Uzumaki, Naruto? Gaara asked, as no one had really asked him about his mother. Temari and Kankuro were never asked either. All their life their father was the important one, and Gaara only had a real single memory of his mother, and that was from a photo that he had seen. Sorry, I don't mean to pry, but I was just curious, Naruto said, and Gaara narrowed his eyes, but he saw no harm in it, so he did. My mother. I don't really have a memory of her. I remember that I told you that my mother died while giving birth to me. I only know that she was said to be caring. She had blonde hair just like Temari's. They could give you a better description than I could, Gaara said, and Naruto merely nodded with a small sigh. Alright, sorry if I pried in any way, the blonde said, and before long his arm glowed while Naruto quickly grabbed it. The burn started to take place just like before while the seal glowed white. Naruto's heartbeat quickened from the feeling while he tried to lean on the wall for support. Kyuso, he said silently, so Sasuke and Gaara didn't pay much attention. Naruto squinted his eyes shut and mentally cursed. Kyubi, this fucking hurts, you know. I don't know how long I can deal with this, Naruto told his bijou, and Kyubi nodded. I feel everything you feel, brat. I can tell it hurts, but tough it out for now. Know that a mortal's coils aren't supposed to support a god's honshu. I'm sure the Shinigami has thought of this, Kyubi said, grumbling from the pain also. Soon Naruto's seal stopped glowing and the blonde breathed easily. He looked up for a second and gasped. He looked around to see Gaara and Sasuke waiting for Chiyo, but something was different. He could see, or rather, feel, their life. He could hear their hearts beating. He could hear their every breath that they each took. He could also see something of a bright fire that encased each of their hearts. Gaara's was the brightest that Naruto could see. It was encased in white fire while Sasuke's was white with a blue outline. What the hell is this? Naruto wondered, and due to their connection, Kyubi could see what Naruto was seeing also. It got me, brat, but keep your guard up, Kyubi said, and Naruto nodded. His eyes hadn't changed their ocean blue color. He didn't have any kind of dojutsu, but this, what was he looking at? Alright Gaara, I have what you ask for, Chiyo said, returning to the three, and Naruto turned his gaze to Chiyo. He could see her heart pumping also, although it was slower than his, Gaara's, or Sasuke's. The fire around her heart was rather small in a sense. It looked almost like it would be, dwindling with time or something like that. Naruto closed his eyes for a second and sighed. He tried to calm down and breathed easily. He then opened his eyes and his world returned to normal just as easy. "Thank you, Chiyoba-chan," Gaara said, taking a small pill. He placed it in his pouch before turning to Naruto and Sasuke. "Nothing has been reported to me as of late, so we'll end it for today. I would appreciate it if you both came with me tomorrow to another place," Gaara said, and Naruto nodded while Sasuke did the same. "Well, that's fine and all, but we should really come up with a plan of action. All this suspense isn't right. Naruto and I will get up early to help look around. We'll let you know if we see something," Sasuke said, and Gaara easily nodded. "Fine, I can at least offer that much at the moment," Gaara said, making Sasuke nod as he and Naruto opened the door. They saw that most of the civilians had calmed down thanks to the shinobi in the area, but the smoke was still evident in everyone's eyes. Some people thought it might be Akatsuki again, while others wondered if it was a rogue shinobi. Gaara sighed as he decided to speak with his people for the moment and calm them down, while Naruto and Sasuke went back to their rooms to go and prepare for tomorrow, and Naruto couldn't wait so he would be able to get some answers about his situation finally. "Alright, we'll see you later, Gaara," Naruto told him, and the two shined out of sight while Gaara sighed. "Somewhere in Suna, tch, I can't believe he wasn't in his office. They told me he would be easy since he didn't know about the bomb. If that Uzumaki guy and Uchiha didn't arrive, then he would be in his office, or he'd be in a body bag being mourned over like a fool. Ugh, well, I can still get out of here. Hopefully no one is that determined to try and search for me in the earliest time of the morning," some guy said as he snickered and disappeared from view of everyone. No one knew who he was, but that didn't mean that Naruto or Sasuke would let him get away from either of them before they had the chance to show Gaara how good they had really gotten in the 2 years, as well as have the chance to improve their kenjutsu skills at the same time. Next morning, early, "Naruto, hey, get up, you loser," Sasuke called while Naruto rolled on his pillow. He sighed and smiled while he tried to hug the pillow. Ka-chan," Naruto mumbled, and Sasuke raised an eyebrow before he sighed and bonked Naruto on the head, making the blonde yelp out as he rubbed his head. "What was that for?" Naruto asked, and Sasuke folded his arms. You wouldn't get up, so I used the next best method," Sasuke responded, and Naruto growled before he saw the darkness over the village. The moon was still high in the sky, but Naruto knew that it would be going down very soon, and so they had to get ready at the moment. "Yeah, well, you didn't have to be like that," Naruto grumbled to himself before the two got dressed. Sasuke put on his black clothes and Naruto did the same. They wrapped their individual scarves around their necks. They fastened their swords to their waists and quickly left the room, or at least Sasuke did. "You go, Sasuke. I'll catch up in a minute," Naruto told him, and Sasuke nodded as he left the room. Naruto sighed and rubbed a hand through his hair. He wondered if the death god ever went to sleep, but he would have to ponder that later as he bit his thumb. It was then that he wondered if he could die of blood loss, but then again Shin said that he wouldn't take Naruto's soul, so that meant that the blonde couldn't die, right? Naruto traced his blood over the seal on his hand before he noticed it trail along his seal and then slid down the intricate line that came into his arm. It slowly followed while Naruto seemed fascinated by it, but he would have to deal with it later. "Kuchiyos no Jutsu," Naruto yelled, and as always the light had come and faded. Then after a few seconds he turned around to see the death god himself looking down at the blonde with that same menacing gaze as always. The blonde sighed as he jumped to his feet and showed his arm. "Shin, what is this? What's happening to me? This pain, these seals, my body. What's going on?" Naruto asked in a less than pleased tone that the death god noticed. He would have mentioned to Naruto about respect, but he could tell that the blonde really wanted his answers. "Well, it's logical that you would ask," Shin said, making Naruto look at him weirdly, but the Shinigami was being dead serious just like always. He didn't find the time for jokes as his job was the most serious that anyone could have. What do you mean? Naruto asked, and the Shinigami touched his blonde summoner's forehead. A small light glowed over Naruto and came into the Shinigami, making the god narrow his eyes. You are my summoner. That means you have the duty, responsibility, and pain of being the one that I must trust. I have scanned your memories of yesterday, and Kyubi is exactly right in his speak. The essence of power that I use is not meant to be used by mortals, as your bodies aren't meant to handle something like it. Since you're my summoner, my powers have slowly been fed into your body. Your body is naturally adjusting to the power of the Honshu. No, you won't have to worry about using your jutsu. It will work as always, except you will need to gain a proper control over it. The same thing has been happening to your mother, Shin said, and Naruto widened his eyes. He forgot how Kushina had made her chakra the control limit to his chakra intake, or he'd be in much more pain than everything he could imagine. But, what is Honshu? Is it chakra? Naruto asked, and the Shinigami sighed. Think of it as chakra for the gods. We don't do the techniques that you mortals call jutsu all the time. We're more equipped than that for what we do. Keep also in mind that we're limitlessly more powerful than you are. In truth, you still can't match up to me, but that's not going to be the case soon. When you're complete, then you will know the term responsibility. As to your eyes, no, they aren't a dojitsu. A dojitsu, Kekai Genkai, or whatever, comes from some form of god. Even if the one you people call the Rikudo Sennin invented your style, who do you think instilled the power in him to do that? Shin asked, and Naruto widened his eyes. It was you guys? The blonde asked, and Shin nodded. That's right. You will get stronger and you will access more of your abilities. In fact, you've unlocked a new one now. You do know what happened to you yesterday, right? What happened was that your eyes are now able to recognize the life force within others. I, as the death god, have the same thing. I can see yours very clearly. Very bright and white indeed, Shin said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. But what does that mean? Naruto asked, and Shin elaborated. The ability to know and discern the living from the almost dead to the completely dead is a skill that you will need to learn as my summoner. It will be hard, but you must do it to succeed, Shin said, and Naruto sighed. He really had to go, so he'd just deal with it for now. Alright, thanks, I guess. I'll ask some more questions later, Naruto said, and the death god vanished from his presence while Naruto scratched his cheek. I would sit to contemplate his word, but I don't have the time. Alright, I'll just deal with it for later, Naruto said, getting to his feet, and the blonde shot off to catch up to Sasuke as he left the room. Naruto was rather happy as Sasuke had waited for him at the entrance to their hotel. They quickly set out, with the moon slowly disappearing and the sun just about coming over the horizon. They both could see Shinobi still around the place, but they seemed more like they were observing than anything else. It took a bit of doing, but Naruto and Sasuke made it to the outer wall of Suna's high, defensive walls and looked around. See anything, Sasuke? Naruto asked, staking a lookout from behind a spot while Sasuke's Sharingan looked around the entire field of his vision. He sighed and shook his head. I don't see anything. No movement, no chakra abnormalities or anything of the sort. It would be better if we knew what we were looking for, Sasuke said with a slight scowl, but Naruto could agree with him on that. Well, it's too dark for me to really see anything also. Hang on, Naruto said as he closed his eyes while Sasuke continued to stake out the place. The blonde opened his eyes and his word changed. He could see the fire surrounding Sasuke's heart and sighed in relief. He looked around for a second time and noticed some small flares of white fires, but nothing out of the usual. He groaned and looked to his left. Hey Sasuke, I think I saw something, Naruto said to him, and the Uchiha quickly moved his eyes to the position Naruto was looking at. They both saw a shadowy figure moving over the horizon and both narrowed their eyes. He hasn't seen us yet, Naruto said, and Sasuke nodded as he got to his feet. Naruto did the same, and both decided to jump down and confront him. He was a middle-aged man. Pale, white skin and the standard Suna flak jacket. Naruto and Sasuke glared at him before Naruto turned to Sasuke. "Hey, haven't we seen his face before?" Naruto asked, and Sasuke nodded. He was sure of it for a fact. He took out his bingo book and skimmed through the pages. He stopped at a particular face and glared. "Yeah, right here. His name is Yutara Senjin. He's a B-ranked rogue nin wanted in Konoha, Iwa, and Kumo. What's he doing in Suna?" Sasuke wondered before they heard the man speak. "Yeah, that's right. I missed the target, but the explosion was beautiful. A shame I could take down that asshole of a Kazekage. Ugh, even the dead get lucky once in a while. Well, I did my mission." "I get paid, right?" he asked over some mic that was around his neck. Sasuke and Naruto didn't hear the response, but they heard enough. Sasuke grabbed a kunai and placed an explosion tag on it. He smirked and quickly threw it at Yutara. The man heightened his senses and dodged the strike before the kunai exploded, kicking up the dust. Yutara covered his eyes and growled while Naruto and Sasuke shot down. "Well well. A snake in the sand, how ironic, right Sasuke?" Naruto asked, and the Uchiha stepped forward. "Your time is up. Surrender right now." Sasuke yelled, and Yutara smiled as he took out a kunai. Era, it seems I'll get to have some fun after all," he said, and before long he closed the distance between himself and Sasuke. The Uchiha quickly took out his sword as he managed to dodge a lethal strike to the chest. Yutara narrowed his eyes at Sasuke before Naruto jumped into the air. The blonde did a quick slash of his own sword, but Yutara backflipped away from it. Sasuke and Naruto glared hard at him while Yutara smiled. "Don't get cocky, brats. Here, play with these," he said, throwing 3 kunai with explosion tags into the air. Naruto and Sasuke looked up, and before long the kunai exploded into multiple fire shots that were aimed for Naruto and Sasuke. The two growled and jumped out of the way, making the field explode underneath them while Yutara licked his lips. "Yeah, come on Konoha and show me what you've got," Yutara yelled as he did a hand sign. "Futon, Daike's no jutsu, wind release, great wind technique," he yelled, sending a massive wind blowing towards Naruto and Sasuke, but the Uchiha smirked and so did Naruto. "You obviously have much to learn here." "Katan, Gokakyu no jutsu," Sasuke yelled, sending the massive fireball to collide with the winds, causing them to burst. Naruto covered his eyes before Sasuke motioned for him to hurry. The blonde ran forward and jumped on Sasuke's shoulder, then was sent into the air. He looked over the explosion and smiled. "We'll end it now," Naruto yelled as he brought his sword back. "Ka-chan not only taught me her kenjutsu style, but also the kenjutsu style of the Uzumaki. She called it the Revenge of Whirlpool Kenjutsu. It really works well with me. Here, let me show you. Yuzu no Fukusu, Denrya Shoha no Jutsu, Whirlpool Revenge, current title Waves Technique," Naruto yelled as he moved his hand sensually through the air, and before long Sasuke and Yutara watched as Naruto's arm swung his sword, sending multiple wind discs flying for the Suna traitor. Yutara quickly maneuvered out of the way only to be met with a kick from Sasuke. Naruto dropped to the ground and glared hard while Yutara smiled. "Weak, simply weak. Not worth my time," he said before he watched Sasuke take his sword and a lightning current run over his body. He narrowed his eyes while Naruto smiled. He quickly crossed his fingers and both glared at Yutara. "Then bring it on. I'll kill you both," Yutara yelled and did another hand sign. "Futon, Kaziryu no Jutsu, wind release, wind dragon technique," Yutara yelled, and the wind picked up before roaring violently at Naruto and Sasuke. The two Heineken members looked at the dragon while Naruto smiled. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto yelled, and he immediately made a clone in the air. He grabbed its feet and sent it flying towards the dragon, making Utara laugh. "You really think that a stupid clone can beat me?" he asked, and Naruto smiled with a nod. "Yes, I do, with some help. Go, Sasuke." Naruto yelled, and Sasuke stretched out his sword in the direction of the clone. "Chidori Senbon," Sasuke yelled, sending dozens of lightning-like senbon at the clone, sticking its body full of lightning while the dragon neared it, and Naruto raised a single hand sign. "I say again. I never get tired of this Databayo." "Kai," Naruto yelled, and the blonde exploded in the face of the dragon, knocking it was while Utara cursed. Sasuke and Naruto smirked at him while Utara chuckled. He then laughed manically at them both. "You think you can beat me? I'm death itself. I can kill you both and send you to the Shinigami just as easy," Utara yelled, and Naruto closed his eyes. He smirked before turning to Sasuke. He was never too old for a good old prank. "Death itself, huh? That's not you." "Sasuke, tell the others I won't be back," Naruto said to him, and Sasuke wondered what he was about to do while Naruto was mentally smirking, and Kyuubi did the same, knowing what the blonde was going to do. Naruto did some unnecessary hand signs and quickly bit his thumb and traced it over his seal. "Kuchios no Jutsu," Naruto yelled, and his seal glowed while Utara took the opportunity to take out a small sword. He grinned, but that grin fell short when he started at what was behind Naruto. Sasuke widened his eyes, and Naruto smirked as he stepped forward. He pointed back. "This is the true death god. Say hello to the Shinigami," Naruto said, and Shin's eyes glared hard on the mortal in front of him. The blade in his mouth came off while Naruto cracked his knuckles. "And Naruto, what are you?" Sasuke asked, and Naruto smiled. "Humans who dare call themselves death. You take my name and don't know the responsibility of that title. I'll make you pay for your insolence. Boy, you will be my instrument as of right now," Shin said, and Naruto smiled while Utara growled. "I won't fall for this fucking trick," he yelled, and Naruto smiled as his eyes grew cold. "No trick. I'm just simply going to take your soul right now, courtesy of this guy." Naruto smirked, and Sasuke watched as the blonde quickly vanished along with Shin. He looked around fast, and so did Utara before the two looked up. "It's all over for you," Naruto yelled as his sword shined, and Shin stuck his hand through Naruto's stomach. The blonde winced, but watched as Shin's arm stretched towards Utara and grabbed him. It pulled out a white specter and withdrew it from his body, sending it to Naruto. The blonde quickly slashed it apart in two while his sword absorbed the essence. Utara gasped, and so did Sasuke as the blonde dropped to the ground. He sheathed his sword and sighed while Utara dropped to the ground. Naruto shook his head at the dead Suna traitor before he noticed Sasuke's stare and scratched his cheek. It was just your imagination?" Naruto's mindscape Kyuubi facepalmed himself with one of his tails as he heard Naruto's response. "Real smooth brat. Let's hope this doesn't bite you in the ass," Kyuubi said in his thoughts as he noticed the action outside. With Naruto and Sasuke stared blankly at the sweating blonde, who mentally cursed. He might have taken that little prank too far, as it didn't go as he had planned. Naruto could feel Sasuke's stares piercing his head, just waiting to make the blonde explode and break down to explain what the hell he just saw. Naruto sighed and stood to his feet while glaring at Sasuke. "Come on team, we've got to tell Gaara about this," Naruto said, trying to change the subject of Sasuke's thoughts, and it seemed to work as the Uchiha turned his head to look at the dead Utara on the ground. He slowly sighed with a nod as he took up the body and propped it over his shoulder. "I guess you're right. We'll take him now." "But I'm not done with you, Naruto," Sasuke said, keeping the last part to himself. The two quickly jumped back to the sandy walls that guarded Suna and hopped into the village. The Uzumaki and Uchiha heirs quickly raced through the village that still seemed to be rather frantic in searching for whoever caused the explosion to the Kazekage mansion. It was rather impressive to see them working so hard, but then Naruto noticed a familiar face and dropped to the ground. "Oi, Temari," Naruto called, making the blonde wind mistress turn her head to see the two Heineken members coming towards her. "Naruto, you know that people are to stay inside their houses while we investigate this incident. You're lucky that you called to me and not anyone else. Who is Sasuke carrying?" Temari asked, and the Uchiha placed Yutara on the ground. Temari widened her eyes at the Suna Shinobi while turning to Naruto and Sasuke. "Gaara said that we were allowed to investigate with you, and we went out at the crack of dawn. We saw this guy leaving the village and challenged him. He was the one who blew up the Kazekage mansion, but we could hear him talking to someone, so he must have been the traitor, but not the one who wanted Gaara gone," Naruto said, and Temari touched his throat. "You killed him?" she asked, and both nodded while Temari sighed. She would have told them that they would have wanted the guy alive, but seeing as how without them he would have gotten away, so she decided against it. "Well, alright then. I'll go inform Gaara about this. He might want to talk with you later, but for now just head back to your rooms and stay there this time," Temari said, glaring at the two of them, making Naruto sheepishly chuckled with a nod, while Sasuke merely folded his arms and let out a small huff for a response. "You got it, Temari. We'll see you later," Naruto said, jumping off the rooftops, and Sasuke followed. Temari watched the two Kenjutsu shinobi leave and sighed as she quickly picked up Yutara's body and ran away with it towards Gaara's location. Konoha Gates Izumo and Kotetsu were currently playing cards with each other since the boredom of guard duty was taking its toll on them both. "That's 3. Ha! I win," Kotetsu shouted, jumping from his chair while he did a small dance. He was about to collect the money on the table before he saw his partner's little smile that spooked him a little. "Not so fast, Kotetsu. See this. Royal straight flush." "I win," Izumo said, while Kotetsu gaped like a fish out of water, while Izumo took his winnings and placed them in his pocket with a satisfied smirk. "I really hate you right now," Kotetsu said, slumping in his chair, and Izumo chuckled at his friend while propping his legs on the table in front of them. "Yeah, well, you need to take lessons in poke, dude. You're too easy to read sometimes," Izumo stated, and Kotetsu merely grumbled before they spotted a figure in the distance. He looked in awe like he had never been to Konoha before, but that wasn't what it was. He was just happy. Truly, truly happy. Mistaking the man for someone else, they knew Izumo spoke. "Hayashi-san, what are you doing out of the village?" Izumo asked, making the Hyuga turn to him. He gave a small smile and closed his eyes. He could still fool people into thinking that he was Hayashi's brother. It was too amazing to hear and see at times like that. "You two have grown since the last time I saw you, Hizashi," said, making Kotetsu squint his eyes. He noticed the seal on Hizashi's head and gasped as he quickly got to his feet. He jumped off the table at shot for Hizashi, then looked him up and down before falling to his knees. "Hizashi-sensei, you're alive," Kotetsu said, making Izumo widen his eyes at his partner's words. He then jumped out of the small box also and ran to Hizashi. He quickly took in the Hyuga's appearance and trembled while a small tear came from his eyes. "Hizashi-sensei, how? When? Why are you dash? Do you know you're alive?" Izumo asked, and Hizashi smiled at two of his students from his Jonin days before his death. He patted them on the head before looking forward. "Yes, I know. Tell me, where is Sarutobi? I wish to speak with him immediately," Hizashi said, and while Izumo and Kotetsu had their questions, they sighed and looked at the Hokage stone faces. Hizashi followed their gazes and looked up at the mountain before receiving the hidden message. "I see. Who is the next Hokage in succession?" Hizashi asked while Izumo and Kotetsu glanced at each other. "Tsunade Senju Hizashi-sensei. She has been our Hokage for 2 years now," Izumo said, and Hizashi placed a finger to his chin and closed his eyes while he thought over those words. "So Tsunade's back in the village and she's the Hokage. How much have I missed since my death? I can't wait to see just how Niji looks now, Hisashi thought before he opened his eyes and nodded. Very well. Please take me to Tsunade immediately. I have no doubt that I will want to catch up on some things, so tell me. Hisashi stopped when Izumo held up his hand just like he would as a genin, which made Hisashi sigh, but he allowed him to talk. Sorry to interrupt Hisashi-sensei, but how are you even here? I mean, we know you departed in Kumo. It just doesn't make any sense that you would be alive, Izumo said, and Kotetsu turned to his partner. Yeah, but it's just like Hinako-san, Kushina-san, and Mikoto-san. They said that they had their missions to go on, so Sarutobi-sama covered up their missions with their deaths. Rather cold if you ask me, Kotetsu said, and Hisashi narrowed his eyes. I promised Naruto-san my word of silence. It seems he's been rather busy with that contract. To think that my Amuto is back also is just amazing. I guess I'll have to cover him also, Hisashi thought to himself before turning to the Chunin in front of him. I'll tell you this, but you must know that this was a mission given to me as well. My death was to be a cover-up for information from Kumo, and I've been sending messages via messenger bird. I had stopped receiving reports, so I came back to see what was going on in the village. I'm sorry to have left you too. By the way, where's Anko? Hisashi asked, not really wanting to know the answer to that question, while Kotetsu and Izumo snickered. Probably laying drunk somewhere like usual, Izumo said, and Hisashi rolled his eyes while rubbing his temples. It seems. That girl still doesn't listen to me, Hisashi thought to himself before Izumo and Kotetsu walked him towards the Hokage mansion while telling their sensei about their times that he was gone. Back with Naruto and Sasuke, the two Heineken members made it to their rooms while they waited for Gaara. As soon as Naruto passed through the door, Sasuke slammed it shut and locked it, making the blonde cursed. Kyuso, he still wants to know about it, Naruto thought, and Sasuke glared at him while Naruto sat on his bed deciding not to say anything until Sasuke did so. For the next few minutes it was nothing but an awkward silence for the blonde, making him mentally gulp as it was so quiet that they could hear the water in the sink dropping with every passing second that seemed like an eternity to Naruto, but the blonde stayed silent and didn't say anything. What was that? Sasuke suddenly asked, breaking the long-term silence, making Naruto let out the breath that he didn't know he was holding. Excuse me, he responded, and Sasuke mentally growled, but managed to calm down slightly. What was that spirit behind you? You called it the Shinigami. Despite being an idiot, I know you're not stupid. So tell me what that was, Sasuke said, and Naruto slowly sighed. He was calm on the outside, but the inside was another story. Damn it, what do I say to him? Maybe I should just tell him the truth and be done with it. You know, you could help me out here, Naruto said mentally, and Kyubi chuckled. True, but watching you squirm is a lot more amusing to me, so I'll let you figure it out, Kyubi said, and Naruto sucked his teeth, but didn't say anything else. He then widened his eyes as he slowly got a small grin. It was a genjutsu. Something I learned over the break with Ero Sennin. It doesn't need to be seen to be activated. You know, my chakra control sucks when I have to do genjutsu, but this one is special. By using some of the chakra I have stored up, then I can make it real for about 20 seconds before it dispels. That's what makes it fearsome. I don't really have a name for it yet, and as you can see it takes its toll on me, Naruto said, hoping that it was enough, and Sasuke glared at the blonde. He closed his eyes for a few minutes, then opened them. You know you suck at lying, right? He asked, and Naruto cursed. He stood to his feet and folded his arms. And how would you know that I was lying? Naruto asked, and Sasuke snorted. Because I know you. You aren't the genjutsu type no matter what you say. So why don't you try something else, Sasuke said, and Naruto groaned before he lightly snickered. Never could get past you, I guess. Fine, like I said back in Uzumaki. Sasuke, can I trust you? Naruto asked, and the Uchiha raised an eyebrow. He wondered why Naruto would lie, and granted that was a skill that Shinobi had to learn, it just didn't suit him or his personality. You already did that when you took me back to Konoha. This shouldn't be any different, you loser. Now tell me what's up with you, Sasuke said, and Naruto nodded as he sat back down. Sasuke leaned against the wall, and so the blonde decided to have some trust in Sasuke and told him only some of the information. He told about him nearly dying because of the Uchiha, which Sasuke showed a small amount of remorse for. He then went on to say that the Shinigami found interest in him and made him the summoner. He didn't say about the powers nor that he could revive people. He felt that Sasuke was better off not knowing, and he simply felt that Sasuke might find out the rest by himself. I thought I told you to tell me the truth, Sasuke said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. That was the truth, team. I wouldn't lie about something like this. That last one doesn't count, the blonde said immediately, and Sasuke glared at him, hard. You expect me to believe that the deity over the dead was interested in you and allowed you to live? I don't know where you got such a crack story, Sasuke said before he was slammed to the wall by Naruto, and he suddenly felt all the ki directed at him, with Naruto using the first technique the Shin ever taught him, which was the Shur no Gyoshi, death stare. Sasuke could see his death in Naruto's eyes while the blonde growled. Don't think I don't know the time to be serious, team. I've changed over the 2 years, so you'd better remember that, Naruto said before he dropped Sasuke, making the Uchiha wince while Naruto turned around. He could feel Shin's presence around him and just knew that he was being influenced, but it felt good to be rather cold like that to Sasuke of all people. The Uchiha coughed and rubbed his throat while Naruto sat back down on his bed. He glared at Sasuke before closing his eyes and folding his arms. He propped one leg over the other and sighed before the two heard a knock on the door. Come in, Naruto said in a sort of pissed-off tone, but the door opened nonetheless and both saw Gaara looking at them. Naruto stood to his feet and so did Sasuke, as both immediately stopped fighting and got back to their business. Gaara, did Temari send you who we took care of? Naruto asked, and Gaara nodded. He gave them both his standard impassive face before he spoke. That's right. Utara used to be one of our most talented jonin. Right next to Baki. It's hard to imagine that he would have a hand in this. Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, while I thank you for your help, I can't tell you that this will lower any of Suna's security, so you must both leave soon. I have told the Shinobi and you can leave, but it must be soon since we don't want anyone else getting past our defenses. Naruto Uzumaki, I hope to meet you again sometime, Gaara said, extending his hand. Naruto smiled and nodded as he shook it. We understand, Gaara. I wish we could have talked more. Mostly about your mother, but I guess that can wait, but I can't help wonder something else. Nagara, did either of your parents have red hair? Naruto asked, and the Kazekage raised an eyebrow. My mother had blonde hair and my father, from what I remember, had auburnish hair. Why do you ask? Gaara asked, narrowing his eyes slightly, and Naruto scratched his cheek. Nothing really. What about your grandparents? Do you know them? Naruto asked, and Gaara closed his eyes. I do not. If I had to guess, then my father's side had some red hair, but not my mother's. Again, why do you ask? Gaara asked again, and the blonde shinobi rubbed the back of his head. Mere curiosity, that's all. It was just a thought, that's all. All right, we'll go, Naruto said, and Sasuke nodded as they quickly packed up their things. By they it was Naruto's clones. Gaara watched them and wondered where Naruto was getting this curiosity from, but he figured that the blonde was weird like that, so he just decided to let it go for the time being. It didn't take long at all, since Naruto and Sasuke had only just spent the night in Suna. It took virtually no time to get finished with their stuff and placed it over their backs. Well, Gaara, we'll see you soon. It was nice seeing you again, Naruto said, and Gaara nodded as he watched the two leave and the quickly hopped along the rooftops and disappeared in flashes of speed while Gaara merely looked onward. He still wondered what was going through the blonde's mind before he left in a sand shunshin. Back in Uzumaki, construction was still going on as usual, but it was a lot faster with the Naruto clones helping out. Kakashi had dispelled his clones since they couldn't take the strain, and neither could Yugao's anymore. Mikoto and Kushina had kept theirs up since they could take a lot more. Speaking of the two mothers of Naruto and Sasuke, they were currently watching people work as they sipped their tea. You know, Kushina, you've had a glow on your face for a while now. Did something good happen to you in the few days before I joined? Mikoto asked, and Kushina's eyebrow twitched while she snickered. Nothing in particular, she said, though she was lying. She still had in her mind the time that her son and herself passed the boundary from morality into immorality, but she didn't care at all. Something about being free of inhibitions was quite good to her. Kushina, you got a boyfriend, didn't you? Mikoto asked as she snickered, and Kushina coughed. No, I didn't, Kushina said with her blush betraying her words while Mikoto nudged her arm. Don't try to hide it. So who is it? Kakashi? Mikoto asked, and Kushina shook her head. The guy was way too lazy for her taste. She had never considered Kakashi that way, and she still couldn't. The Uzumaki woman turned her head to see Mikoto, thinking with her finger to her chin before she gasped. Sasuke? She asked, and Kushina merely stared at her with a stare. Hell to the no databane. Kushina yelled out in her thoughts as she ran around her mind shouting profanities while Mikoto seemed to be waiting. Kushina couldn't go through with that one. No way, too emotionless, much like Fugaku. Truth be told, Kushina didn't know what Mikoto saw in Fugaku at all, but she could just forget it. No, Mikoto, Kushina said, using the polite way to hide her still growing vein at the back of her head. Mikoto sighed and tried to think of something else. She suddenly widened her eyes and turned to Kushina. The redhead Uzumaki gulped as she wondered if Mikoto found it out before the Uchiha matriarch responded. Kushina, you play for the other team? Mikoto asked, and soon Kushina faltered and fell to the ground with a sweat drop on her head. She wasn't into that mess either. She was straight and always would be. Mikoto, I'm straight. You know that. Why the sudden interest in my love life? Kushina asked, and Mikoto rubbed the back of her head with a light chuckle. I guess I just want to know if I missed out on anything, Mikoto said, rubbing the back of her head, and Kushina shook her head at her best friend before standing to her feet. I have nothing to say, so shall we get going? She asked, and Mikoto raised an eyebrow. Where are we going? She asked, and Kushina twirled a scroll in her hands before sipping the last of her tea. Why, we're going to start setting up the Heineken base. It will take most of the day and night, but we'll get it done if we hurry, Kushina said, running off, and before Mikoto could respond she was getting dragged along also with a sigh. I wonder who Kushina would go for. She's definitely got a fetish for blonde hair. I wonder would she go for, nah, not Kushina. Even she knows when to sensible, Mikoto thought while she was getting dragged away. With Kakashi and Yugao, the two Heineken members were currently cutting across Kyusugakure and on their way towards the outskirts of Konoha. There was said to be 3 missing nin in that area. All B rank. It might be some easy money for the entire group to cover the expenses of everyone on the Uzumaki rebuilding project. Yugao, you're slacking. Pick up the pace, Kakashi said, and Yugao lightly smiled before she picked up the pace and passed Kakashi, making the Heineken Shinobi sweat drop. That better, Kakashi-senpai? She asked, and the white-haired man simply sighed as he wondered if Yugao ever liked to play around, but he found it inviting in a way. I suppose it is, but keep your wits about you, Kakashi told her, and Yugao nodded, but then she stopped at a tree branch and turned around. I know you're hiding, so come out. Yugao called out and drew her sword while Kakashi closed his visible eye. He could feel a presence behind him and turned around to see Kabuto looking at the both. Oya, this is quite the unexpected turn of events. Love the new robes, Kakashi. You look even weaker than before, Kabuto said with a smile, and Kakashi narrowed his eyes while Yugao did the same. And you're still in that same get-up, Kabuto. You must have no fashion sense at all, Yugao shot back to him, making Kabuto Lightly chuckle. So what brings you both to Kusa? You don't seem like the type to just waltz in here, Kabuto told them both, and Kakashi sighed as he grabbed a piece of his scarf that was covering his eye and grabbed it before Kabuto put his hands up. Oi oi, I'm not here to fight. Didn't expect to run into you, so I'd rather not get my hands dirty. So what do you say that I just walk away and you both walk away? Kabuto asked before he felt a blade to his throat and closed his eyes while Yugao appeared behind him with a cold glare. If I remember, then you're an A-rank missing nin from Konoha. The bounty on you is more than enough to finish the repairs, Yugao said, and Kabuto snickered. While I'm glad I have such a high attention rating, mind telling me what you're repairing? He asked, and soon he heard cackling as Kakashi drew his father's sword from his sheath. It's nothing that need be concerned with you, as you will die here today, Kakashi said, and Kabuto adjusted his glasses. Well, Orochimaru-sama did say that I should get some exercise, Kabuto said before his arm glowed in blue chakra. Yugao widened her eyes before jumping away while Kabuto swung his arm attempting to cut her, but she was too fast and backflipped to a tree while Kabuto snickered. He soon jumped in the air to dodge Kakashi's blade that would have cut him in half before he landed. All you can do is dodge. Don't get cocky. Yugao yelled and charged at Kabuto. The medic quickly took out a kunai and both clashed with each other as Yugao growled at him and Kabuto smiled. I'd prefer that I call it confidence, he said, and immediately he got kicked across the face by Kakashi, who sent him into a tree only for him to dispel into a log. Damn, Yugao muttered to herself, and while Kakashi landed on a branch adjacent to Yugao's. They looked around the forest and both didn't let their guard down before Kakashi spoke. He's gone, he said, making Yugao growl. We could have taken him, she said, and Kakashi was inclined to agree with her. He knew that Kabuto had run away since he couldn't take them both, but what was this feeling of uncertainty that was clouding his thoughts? Yugao, let's return to our meeting point, Kakashi said, deciding not to use the name of their location for fear of being heard. Ah, come on, senpai. We should at least keep going. Don't worry about him. I'll make sure to keep my guard up. I was in the umbu after all, Yugao said, and Kakashi narrowed his eye at her before he merely made a smile out of it and nodded. If you insist, he said, and the two quickly vanished out of sight to return to their previous destinations. Not long after they left, a figure came from the distance in a time warp and slowly eyed the trail of chakra left by the three shinobi. It seems that something interesting is going on. Looks like I'll be rather busy, but in this time I must start my plans. First I must get Deidara and find the Sanbai Jinchuriki. Still it ruins my plans that Sasuke is back with Konoha, but I'm sure a little introduction will be just what he needs only after he kills Itachi. However, I don't need him interfering anymore, Tobi said as he quickly turned around to see Kabuto smirking. I had a feeling I would run into you sooner or later, Kabuto said, and Tobi immediately changed his persona and wrapped his hand around his head. Hiya. I'm Tobi. Do you like to fight? Tobi does, because Tobi is a very good boy, he said, making Kabuto sigh with a small sweat drop. Look here. I know who you are, so just stop the antics, Kabuto said, and Tobi immediately glared at him. Is that so? Well, fine then. What do you want? He asked, and Kabuto moved his finger back and forth. Oh, it's not what I want. It's what you want and what I can offer you, Kabuto spoke to him, making Tobi narrow his eyes as he wondered what someone like Kabuto could have for him. Back in Konoha, Niji was rushing through the streets trying to make his way towards the Hokage mansion. Hayashi and Hanako had just told him the most amazing news, and he just had to see it for himself or he would never be able to live it down. Niji, why are you rushing? Tenten asked, but Niji didn't register her question and kept going as he entered the Hokage mansion. The Hyuga genius quickly walked up the stairs with his teammates following him, wondering what was up. Kami, please don't play with me if this is real, Niji said in his thoughts before he appeared behind the door of the Hokage office and raised his hand before he heard someone yelled. Come on, Hizashi-senpai, I said I was sorry. It was on the spur of the moment, a feminine voice yelled from behind the door and Niji widened his eyes as he knocked. "Come in," came the tired, shocked, and slightly frustrated voice of the Slug Princess. Niji opened the door and widened his eyes as he saw his father, Hisashi Hyuga, glaring down at the proctor for the second exam, Anko Mitarashi, with Tsunade pouring more of her sake out of the window while Shizun watched it happen. Hisashi rubbed his temples before he turned his head and immediately noticed a younger version of himself. He noticed Niji's surprised face and quickly maintained his posture as he walked forward. Niji nearly trembled with each step before Hisashi was right in front of him. "Hello Niji. You've really grown," Hisashi said, and Niji's hair shadowed his eyes as he looked at the ground. Everyone could see the faintest of tears fall down his face while Hisashi patted his son on the shoulder. "Not going to say anything?" Hisashi asked, and Niji merely grabbed his father's clothes and pressed his head to his chest. Hisashi seemed confused by the act while Niji sighed. "You talk now," he said, and Hisashi could feel his son's ki soaring while he mentally gulped. He was in some deep shit this time. "I was just about to explain to Hokage-sama, but let me finish a small matter," Hisashi said, and Niji reluctantly let him go as Hisashi turned around and faced Anko, who was putting up the V sign with her fingers before he approached her. "What did I tell you, Anko?" Hisashi asked, and Anko sulked. "To not drink excessively when I got older," she said, and Hisashi folded his arms while Izumo and Kotetsu snickered and their female teammate from their genin days while Anko glared at them. "Damn traitors. I'll get you back for this," she said in her thoughts before she noticed Hisashi with a small vein on his head that made Anko wonder how he was still keeping his stoic expression. "And what did you do when you got older?" he asked, and Anko sighed. "I drank excessively and disregarded your advice," she said, and Hisashi nodded as he turned his back to her. "Well, we'll talk about your punishment later. For right now I must talk with Hokage-sama," Hisashi said while Anko, Izumo and Kotetsu left the room. Niji decided to stay since he'd rather not leave and listen to this himself. "Let me guess, you were out on a mission given to you by Sarutobi-sensei that happened to be you dying?" she asked, and Hisashi nodded his head as he wondered if this story was being used. Niji activated his Byakugan in case of a lie, but his father's chakra was calm and collected, the perfect sign of someone who wasn't lying. "That's right. Kyumo didn't kill me as I expected, but they tried to take my eyes. I managed an escape, but stayed in the village to give them a reason not to go to war with you. I felt that if I went back then Niji would have a harder time and so would Konoha," Hisashi said, and Tsunade groaned. "How am I supposed to believe this?" she asked, and Hisashi narrowed his eyes at her. He really had no proof that he was telling the truth. He closed his eyes and thought with a groan. "If only Mikoto was alive, then she could vouch for me," Hisashi said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow at his words. "She is alive. Are you telling me that she knew about the mission that Sarutobi-sensei gave you and she can vouch for it?" she asked, and Hisashi sighed. "Well, I believe so. I met her only once on the way through Kyuzugakure," Hisashi said, and Tsunade nodded. "Very well, then I'll bring Mikoto and the rest of the squad here as well. If you're lying, then I'll kick your ass. If not, then I'll just let you go. For now you may go back home. I'll figure out what to do with you later," Tsunade said in a tired tone as she just wanted her day to be finished, but sadly that still seemed to be a ways off. "Thank you, Tsunade-sama," Hisashi said before he walked out with Niji following him. Tsunade glared hard and sighed. "Shizun, bring me all the mission files from the archive room. Something is wrong here and I don't like it," Tsunade said, and Shizun bowed before leaving her master alone while Tsunade tried to wrap her mind around everything going on. With Sasuke and Naruto, 3 days later, Nami no Kuni. "Sasuke, have you been able to find a boat yet?" Naruto asked his Uchiha partner, but the brunette only shook his head, making Naruto groan slightly as they appeared in front of Tsunami's house. Naruto knocked on the door and Tsunami opened it, then smiled at the two. I didn't expect to see you so soon. Is there something that I can help you with? She asked, and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. No, not really. We just needed a place for a little rest, that's all. Mind us coming inside? Naruto asked, and Tsunami smiled as she shook her head. Not at all. Please come in, she said, and the two boys came in. Since Tazuna and Inari weren't in the house, then she was alone. Tsunami smiled at them before taking out a kunai. Sasuke tensed while Naruto raised an eyebrow as Tsunami smiled rather embarrassingly. I've seen Inari try to throw one of these and it interested me a little. Would you mind watching me throw one? She asked, making Naruto snicker. Sasuke raised an eyebrow at her words as he wondered if she would be training for anything. That's fine, but why? Naruto asked while Tsunami smiled. It might just be a fleeting obsession, but I've tried it multiple times, Tsunami said, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. I don't mind watching. How about you, Sasuke? Naruto asked. Whatever, he said as Naruto's sweat dropped at the Uchiha's words, but decided not to do anything as they walked outside. The three came to the trees where Naruto and Sasuke did their tree climbing exercise with Sakura. It was very nice to reminisce a little. Brings back memories, right, Sasuke? Naruto asked, and the Uchiha snorted, but nodded as he could still see the multiple slash marks from his tree and Naruto. Yeah, it took a while, but we got it and we both knocked that Haku girl down a peg, Sasuke said, and Naruto snickered before he heard a voice. You did nothing. I was in control the whole time, well, mostly, the voice said, and Naruto widened his eyes before turning around, but he saw nothing. Kyuubi, did you hear that? Naruto asked, making his bijou stir as he gave a loud yawn. Hear what, brat? Kyuubi asked, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He rubbed the back of his head and shook it. Nah, never mind. You can go back to sleep, Naruto said, and Kyuubi closed his eyes, letting the sleep claim his being again. Meanwhile, Naruto and Sasuke watched as Tsunami stood in front of the tree. She sighed and quickly threw the shuriken, and the two watched the kunai embed into the tree on the exact mark. Sasuke widened his eyes, and so did Naruto at the action. Not bad, Tsunami-san. That was perfect. Here, trying doing it with two, Naruto said, handing her the two, and Tsunami shook her head. She took the kunai embedded into the tree and grabbed it as she put the three kunai together. I'll try it with three. Here I go, Tsunami said, and threw the kunai, each lining a foot above the other in a straight line. Naruto whistled and Sasuke smirked. Good, but you extend your arm too much. More practice and it's golden, Sasuke said, and Tsunami nodded. Thank you. I'm glad that I could do that, she said, and before both noticed it, Naruto was gone as he decided to go somewhere. The blonde was walking up a steady forest edge, and suddenly he came to the grave site of Zabuza Momochi and Haku Momochi. He looked at them both and sighed as he rubbed the back of his head. What I wouldn't give to talk with you guys again. Zabuza, you were kind of an ass, but I respect you. Look, I have a sword. Ka-chan brought it for me, Naruto said, holding up the sword, and let it glimmer in the light before he heard a voice. I know that much, brat. I'm not deaf. Also, don't think I didn't see you trying to get it on that woman. I don't know whether to be impressed or jealous, something said before Naruto heard another voice. Zabuza-sama, don't tease Naruto-kun like that. He's strong. Not to mention, more manly, it said while Naruto widened his eyes. He quickly held up a hand sign and channeled his new source of power, the Honshu, to his eyes. They lost their color and turned a sparkly silver as he looked around and gasped. He saw Zabuza next to him looking down at him, and Haku, who was sitting next to Naruto. Holy fucking shit, of all things that are wrong in the fucking world. Naruto yelled, making Haku and Zabuza jump at his tone. What's wrong with this brat Haku? I swear he's bipolar, Zabuza said, and Haku shrugged her shoulders while Naruto stood to his feet and turned around. I see you. I really see you. Zabuza, Haku-chan. I see you. Naruto yelled, making the two widen their eyes. Both glanced at each other and Zabuza narrowed his eyes while he put something in front of Naruto. What finger am I holding up? He asked, and Naruto glared while cracking his knuckles. You want to keep all 5 of your fingers, right? Naruto asked, making Zabuza snicker. Haku smiled and Naruto grinned. Have you guys been here the whole time? Naruto asked and Haku nodded. 2 years of just watching Wave. It gets old after a while. Though we can't leave, Haku said to him, and Naruto widened his eyes. What do you mean? He asked, and Haku sighed. We can't live the place where we died from. We can walk around people, but nothing else, but enough about that. Mind telling me how you can see us? Haku asked, and Naruto was about to say something before Zabuza spoke. And what were you talking about the last time? That you could revive us? I want to know, he yelled as he tried to punch Naruto, but only phased through him, making the blonde tilt his head to the side. You two won't believe it actually, Naruto said, making Haku and Zabuza raise their eyebrows at him before they sat down and let the blonde explain. He did as he told them everything that he could. His having the contract with the Shinigami, him almost dying, and even him being able to revive people. Wow, Naruto-san, you've really grown into someone fine, Haku said while Zabuza growled. What's that damn guy see in you anyway? He asked, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders while he leaned back. He saw Haku lean back also as they looked at the sky. I would need to sacrifices for you guys. I've taken the vow to not kill anyone who doesn't deserve it, Naruto said, making Haku give a gentle smile. Zabuza seemed to huff, but didn't really care. So tell me, how are you guys doing? Naruto asked them, and Haku shuffled lightly in the grass. Long story, but we'll tell it as best we can, Haku said to him, and Naruto nodded his head, and their story began. Night had covered the sky by the time we finished, and in the end, Naruto was laughing his ass off at them both. Huh. You phased into the women's hot spring? What the hell, Zabuza? Naruto asked while laughing, making the man growl as he folded his arms. It's not that damn funny, brat, he yelled, and Naruto wiped his eye. Oh yes it is. Oh, I'm telling that one to Ka-chan, Naruto said, and Haku raised an eyebrow. Naruto-kun, who is your Ka-san? You never did tell us, Haku said to him, and Naruto nodded his head as he rubbed the back of his head. She was the woman you both saw me with that last time. Her name is Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto said, making Haku widen her eyes with a blush while Zabuza pointed at him in an accusing notion. Kid, you are fucked up. You felt up your own mother? Zabuza asked, and Naruto rolled his eyes at him. Yep, and no regrets about it, he said with a cheeky smile. Haku stuttered, and so did Zabuza, but the smile from Naruto made it quickly dissolve. It was like when he smiled, then you couldn't find a way against it. Many people could attest to that. Still, Kushina Uzumaki. Zabuza-sama, isn't she that one that the woman talks about? I think her name was Mei Terumi-sama. We met her once before becoming missing Nin, Haku said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. That's right. She told about her cousin Kushina, but I had no idea who she was talking about at all, Zabuza said, and Naruto looked at them both. Who are you guys talking about? Naruto asked, and Haku smiled. Mei Terumi, she was one of Zabuza-sama's friends that he didn't kill in the exam, Haku said, and Zabuza shook his head. More like one of the people I couldn't kill at the exam. Ugh, damn bitch, Zabuza said with a shudder. Naruto suddenly smiled as he heard that minus the bitch part. He had more family that he didn't know about. First was the likelihood of Taiyuya, then Gaara, and now this Mei Terumi woman. Kushina had told Naruto that Tsunade was his cousin while teaching him the history of the Uchiha, Senju and Uzumaki. It made Naruto wonder if he and Sasuke were cousins, but he thought about it later. Well, I'll have to look into that. I would be nice to meet her, not to mention revive you guys. We never got to talk like this, Naruto said, making Zabuza sigh and Haku smile with a nod. Well, it's late, you'd better get some rest, Naruto-san, before you. What's that? Haku asked, looking through the trees, and Naruto turned around while Zabuza did the same. They all looked to see two men grinning like mad while they held up their sword. One was carrying a woman and the other was carrying what Naruto could only guess was a child. Naruto widened his eyes and growled while Zabuza huffed. Haku balled her fists and Naruto stood to his feet. That was the easiest village we ever raided. I had so much fun killing this bitch's husband. Watching him squirm like a fool. I'm gonna have me some fun tonight, one said, and Naruto's hair shadowed his eyes. He balled his fists before chuckling. Zabuza, Haku, you're about to get revived, Naruto said, getting to his feet, and he closed his eyes. They returned to their ocean blue color and the blonde quickly grabbed his sword. The two bandits noticed the blonde walking towards them and grinned. Hey buddy, got any money on ya? If you do, then drop it and get lost or we'll kill you, one of them snickered, and Naruto quickly grabbed his sword. He knew he couldn't call Shin until a few more hours, but that could wait. Let them go. Now. Naruto commanded, releasing his Shino-gyoshi on the two in front of him, making them gasp. They could feel the stare of death on them both, but it shocked Naruto when one pulled out a sword and charged him. Naruto narrowed his eyes and quickly blocked the strike to his face while the man smiled. Yeah, I haven't killed enough yet, he said, and Naruto growled as he shoved the man off him and sent him flying into the streets. You alright, Nii-chan? The man on the ground asked, and the older one nodded. Guroshi, get out of here and leave this brat to me, the man said, and his younger brother nodded as he gave him a shuriken. Gotcha, Aniki. Beat his ass. You're not the A-ranked missing Nin Kuroshi for nothing, he said before vanishing in the trees while Naruto narrowed his eyes. Kuroshi, why do I know that name? Naruto asked himself before he took out the bingo book. He scanned through it and before long he narrowed his eyes and sneered. Kuroshi-han. A-ranked missing Nin. Wanted by Kumo, Kiri and Konoha. Charge, manslaughter, thievery, rape, assassination, plundering. Naruto read and closed the book. He growled lowly and gripped his sword hand before he looked up at Kuroshi impassively. Your soul is mine. Naruto said, and Kuroshi chuckled. Whatever, brat, what makes you think that you can fight me? He asked, and Naruto appeared behind him. He gasped at the speed before blocking a kick from Naruto's foot. He quickly took his sword and swung it at Naruto's side, but before long he noticed a clone of the blonde come out of nowhere. It grabbed his arm and tightened its hold while Naruto jumped in the air. Kai, he yelled, and Kuroshi was engulfed in a massive explosion that destroyed the trees and forest. He quickly landed on the ground only to see that his target was gone and cursed before Naruto was sent flying from a kick and was slammed into a tree. The blonde cursed while Zabuza and Haku growled. Haku, go and get that guy's friend. The Uchiha, I don't care how, but do it. Zabuza ordered, and Haku nodded as she floated off. Naruto got to his feet and quickly allowed himself to stand. He saw Kuroshi walking towards him and took an offensive stance. The blonde quickly dashed at Kuroshi and the two clashed as their ki flashed, knocking everything out. It's great, isn't it? Kuroshi asked, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. What is? He asked, and Kuroshi chuckled at him before jumping back, ending the duel between the two of them. Naruto watched him go before he stopped. The fighting. It makes your blood boil, doesn't it? Let me feel it some more, he yelled, and he quickly bit his thumb. Naruto was as he traced the blood over his sword, and it slowly oozed while the sword glowed in a black aura. Kuroshi Kenjutsu, Chioru, Black Death Sword Technique, Blood Knight, he yelled and quickly dashed while Naruto brought his sword back. He glared at the man before yelling. Uzumaki no Shinigami Kenjutsu, Sure no Mai, Whirlpool's Death God Sword Technique, Dance of Death, Naruto shouted, and the two clashed. They unleashed blow after blow against each other as the sounds of their metal clashing rang throughout the forest. Naruto cursed and quickly jumped in the air over a slash from Kuroshi. The man growled at Naruto before he swung his sword again, but missed the blonde by a margin as he backed up. Naruto quickly threw a kunai before dashing back. He held out his hand and a small sphere came into it. Kuroshi blocked the kunai, but gasped when Naruto quickly appeared in front of him. Rasengan, Naruto yelled and slammed Kuroshi in the chest, making him spiral across the forest until he slammed into a tree. Naruto glared at him, but knew the man wasn't finished as he brought the blade back. Yuzu no Fukusu, Idaina Erasure, Whirlpool Revenge, Great Storm, Naruto yelled and he swung his sword around before sending multiple wind blades at Kuroshi. The man tried to dodge them all, but they were cutting his legs severely before he hid behind a tree. Naruto narrowed his eyes before he used the spirit feature of his eyes. He could see Kuroshi's fire swirling around his heart and noticed it getting dimmer. He narrowed his eyes and smirked. Futon, Daitapa, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough, Naruto yelled, sending the winds rushing towards Kuroshi as the forested area erupted. Naruto grinned before he noticed Kuroshi smirking. He opened his hands and put them forward at Naruto. "Here brat, take this. It's my best technique." Daidensure Kurin, Fallen Angel Descent, the man said as Naruto watched the winds gather into a Kuroshi's hands. The man smiled evilly as the winds lashed out and turned into a dark gray color. "Die brat," he yelled as he sent the fierce attack at Naruto. The blonde widened his eyes before bringing his sword back. He closed his eyes and sighed. "Everything dies at some point," Naruto said and swung his sword in front of him. He watched as it tore through Kuroshi's attack and slashed directly at the man's chest. Naruto glared and Kuroshi gasped. "But how?" "That was my best," he said, and Naruto snorted. "Simple, my blade is leaked with power from the death god. A technique like yours is nothing compared to it," Naruto said before Kuroshi dropped to the ground. "I won't do it. I won't go alone. I'm taking you with me." Kuroshi yelled and Naruto widened his eyes before he grabbed the unconscious woman next to him and quickly shot off while Kuroshi exploded. Naruto covered his eyes and escaped. He dropped to the ground and sighed in relief. He sighed and scratched the back of his head. He turned his eyes back to their spirit form and noticed Kuroshi's soul. It was different. It wasn't pure white, but pure black, and Naruto stood to his feet. "By the death god's judgment, I'm going to end you," Naruto said, charging at Kuroshi. "Hey kid, wait, let's talk this out." "No," he shouted as Naruto cut through his soul and watched it absorb into his sword. Naruto growled as he stood to his feet and bit his thumb. He quickly drew it over the seal and sighed. "Kuchios no Jutsu," the blonde said and watched his seal glow. It seemed that Naruto had made the mark and it was the next day even though the moon was out. Naruto sighed in relief and watched as Shin appeared in front of him. "Shin, I want to revive some people, but make sure that this guy receives the worst punishment you can offer," Naruto said, handing out his sword, and Shin nodded. "I see. Very well then. Who would you like to revive?" Shin asked and Naruto smiled. "Haku Momochi and Zabuza Momochi," Naruto said, and Shin nodded. Zabuza widened his eyes at what Naruto said, but even more at the fact that he was staring at death itself. He gulped and watched as Naruto's blade glowed. "Strike that human," Shin commanded, and Naruto turned to Zabuza. He quickly took his sword and before Zabuza could retort he got pierced and gasped, but Naruto watched as the life returned to him and the fire surrounding his heart came in full bloom to a pure white color. Naruto smiled and soon enough, like on cue, Naruto turned to her. "Haku-chan, stand still," Naruto said, and he drove his blade through her also. Haku widened her eyes, but felt filled up completely before exhaling a breath. Soon enough, Haku dropped onto solid ground while Shin took one soul that Naruto had slain or indirectly slain. I still need one more soul, Shin said, and Naruto cursed before he heard someone. Hey loser, what's with all the racket and who is this guy? Sasuke asked, dropping a beaten-up Goroshi front of Naruto while the blonde turned around. I can explain, Naruto said, and the Uchiha raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? Explain what? Sasuke asked, and Naruto widened his eyes before turning around. He can't see you? Naruto asked, and Shin folded his arms. I can become invisible to people if I want to. It's my choice, Shin said. And Naruto nodded before his eyebrow twitched as he walked up to Goroshi. I would have liked to have known that sooner, Kyuso, he said as he drew his sword while the man panicked. Don't kill me, he said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. Try saying that to the man you kill. I think you just might be able to, Naruto said and slashed through Goroshi. It wasn't externally, but Naruto drew his soul out and walked towards the Shinigami. All this in Sasuke's eyes was nonsense since he couldn't see what the hell was going on for the life of himself. Second soul. Here you go, Naruto said, and Shin nodded. Contract agreement, he said, and took the soul of the bandit while Naruto smirked. Soon Haku and Zabuza materialized and completely dropped to the ground. Welcome back, Naruto said, and Sasuke widened his eyes as Zabuza and Haku clearly appeared out of nowhere. What the dash, he spoke while Haku touched her body. Zabuza did the same and both turned. They did something that Naruto didn't expect and bowed. Thank you, Shinigami-sama, they said, and Naruto widened his eyes. Say wa? Naruto asked, and soon he looked at his body, which was glowing in white fire. The same spiritual fire that he had been trying to use in his training as the Shinigami's summoner. Sasuke watched it all go down before the flames stopped and were channeled into Naruto's body. The blonde felt good, better than good. He felt incredible. What is this? Naruto wondered to himself before the Shinigami spoke. Naruto Uzumaki, your title has just increased. Before you were a mere Tamashii, soul, but now by the dead and your abilities you are recognized as a Shirkan, death soul. I'll be expecting more interesting things from you, Shin said before leaving the blonde, and Naruto widened his eyes while Zabuza and Haku stood to their feet. Naruto turned around and grinned at an utterly confused Sasuke. Now do you believe me? He asked with his eyes showing their exquisite design. It was hard to believe that it wasn't a dojutsu, but Naruto's own spiritual powers as a new soul. Zabuza, Haku, go get the woman and child. We'll take them back to the house, Naruto said, making the two nod in utter obedience as they collected the two and shot off for the nearest house that they knew about while Naruto walked past Sasuke. The Uchiha grabbed his shoulder, making him turn around. What the hell are you? He asked, and Naruto smiled. I'm the summoner of the Shinigami. Now come on. We have to go now, Naruto said and walked back to the house. Sasuke stared wide-eyed at him before he just walked away with Naruto. Tsunami's house. The middle-aged woman was currently washing some dishes while humming before she heard the door open. She saw Naruto come through with a smile on his face, and she smiled back before she noticed Zabuza and Haku, who were carrying a woman and a child. Sorry Tsunami-san, but we're going to need your couch for a moment, Naruto said, and Tsunami just nodded and watched as Haku and Zabuza placed the woman and girl on the couch. Haku, Zabuza, go get your things or what you can find. You hold no affliction to any village, but I know where you'll fit in perfectly, Naruto said with a grin, making Haku and Zabuza nod. Don't order me around, Gaki, Zabuza said before leaving, and Naruto sighed. Win some, lose some. He would take what he could get. The blonde leaned on the wall and sighed as he examined the woman. She looked like a shinobi, but he wasn't sure. She had vibrant red hair flowing down her body and wore a standard sleeveless blouse, and under that was a sleeved shirt that was probably from housework. She was just in her teens like him. He then looked at the girl and tilted his head to the side. The girl had only a small pad of red hair like the woman next to her. She wore some simple clothes befitting a girl at the age of 10. Naruto turned around to see Sasuke looking at them also, and the blonde sighed. I don't know when they will wake up, but we'll get some rest. Sasuke, you got to bed, Naruto said, and the Uchiha narrowed his eyes, but a glare from Naruto stopped him from pursuing the issue anymore. Naruto told the same thing to Tsunami, Haku and Zabuza, who returned with only a few things. Tsunami left the light on and Naruto leaned against the wall. 2 hours later the teenage girl with red hair groaned and opened her eyes before she remembered what happened. She got up frantically and looked around. Where am I? She wondered before she heard a voice. You in this house, Naruto said, making her turn around. The blonde immediately noticed that she glared at him and took out a kunai. Don't come near me, she yelled, and Naruto raised his hands defensively. She raised an eyebrow before the blonde reached for his sword. She tensed, but watched him unfurl it from his waist and drop it to the ground. Easy, all right? I'm not gonna hurt you. I took care of those 2 assholes who had you guys. Are you all right? Naruto making sure not to lose his eye contact with the girl. She narrowed her eyes and slightly relaxed, but kept her guard up. She lowered the kunai and Naruto sighed. Where am I? She asked, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. You're in a house in Nami no Kuni. Where are you from? Naruto asked her, and the woman sighed as she rubbed her head. I'm from Yuno Kuni, Hot Springs country. How many days has it been since I've been knocked out? She asked, and Naruto shook his head. I wouldn't know. I just found you 4 or 5 hours ago, Naruto said, and she sighed while the blonde rested his body on the wall again. Alright, I won't hurt you, so tell me your name. What happened to you and who that is? Naruto pointing to the sleeping girl next to her. She glared, but nodded and sighed. My name is Yura Uzumaki. This next to me is my sister Yuri Uzumaki, she said, and Naruto widened his eyes as he backed up. Yura raised an eyebrow while the blonde backed away. He fell to the ground and gasped. Why, you're who now? He asked, and she raised an eyebrow. I'm Yura Uzumaki and this is Yuri Uzumaki, she said while the blonde gasped. He pointed his finger at her while shaking slightly. Name? What is your parents' name? He asked, and she sighed. Toru Uzumaki and Kira Fukyun, she said, making the blonde sigh and stand to his feet while Yura raised an eyebrow. Is there a problem? She asked, and Naruto smiled as he erased the distance and grabbed her hands. Family. I've got more family. Hey, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the blonde said, and Yura widened her eyes at his word. Another Uzumaki? What were the chances of this? You're lying, she said, and Naruto shook his head while she stood to his feet. She examined him up and down before pointing to his hair. Where's the red hair? She asked, and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Father had blonde hair, so that's it for me, he said to her, and Yura widened her eyes. They both heard Yuri yawn slightly and the blonde sighed. Well, you must be tired. I'll let you sleep, Naruto said, and Yura sighed as she was very tired. Thank you, I guess. I'll be expecting information tomorrow, Nisan, she said, falling asleep, and Naruto grinned as he turned out the lights. He so couldn't wait to tell his mother about this. She would be ecstatic. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Guys, make sure to help the author by visiting the link in the description. This is Fox Sage, and I'm signing off.